Hooray!
You're good again. I either have a shitty headphone cable or a shitty headphone jack. It's like my whole operations audio hinges on like a piece of dental floss that I've like wrapped around to. Like,
breaking through.
This thing is held together with twine and dreams.
Because in 2008, when Obama...
How dead are those dreams?
They're not dead yet. That's why I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was just...
I'm all paranoid
Barely
about...
holding on, it's the Democratic Party.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh, hell yeah.
that's sad.
Top of $1.
Send back
Sorry.
yes, give me $1. In fact, donate to all of my Kickstarters as well. Oh, let me get my copy pasta ready here for when I...
Yeah, give Pepper $1. Give Pepper many dollars even.
Until we hit gay space communism, we need all of them dollars for all the little independent artists.
If I'm going to be this gay and communist, that means you have to give me money to keep my communist regime going.
Right.
I always giggle whenever people take to Twitter and quote tweet a Pepper give me $1 tweet as an example of like lazy communism.
How
Like, you've never hustled, you piece of shit.
I know, it's
Right?
Well, it comes down to that freaking webcomic everybody throws around where it's like,
Oh, absolutely.
capitalism is not should be changed, and it's like you say on an iPhone. It's basically like society should be improved somewhat. Yet you live in society. I am very intelligently. It's like you don't have an option. I sorry, I can't buy the socialism phone to fucking text this shit to you on. Oh, it's like
That
no,
really could be used for so many things.
I can't just go to Shadow America.
Won't allow the socialist phone to exist.
Well, my favorite argument when that comes up is to remind everybody how much of the technology in the iPhone was developed with public money.
Yeah, that too. All of our telecommunications.
Yeah, it's all kind of like DARPA and shit. Like the government came up with.
Somebody gave me some money.
That was loud.
Yeah, you guys get to enjoy my pain. I have it set at a slightly startling volume.
Shit. I need to do that.
That's kind of the point of why people will give me shit is like, oh, it'll scare him and he'll actually notice.
Did you block that copyright?
What copyright?
Where?
That was on the YouTube stream, or did it not come through on yours?
Oh, block a
There was a
copyright?
still image that said copyright in text.
What? Oh, that was probably like they were probably giving an ad at the time, but no, it didn't happen to me. Or if it did, it went away.
What link are you watching?
YouTube
Well, yeah, me too.
live.
PBS NewsHour?
Yes, it might have happened. I may have been slightly behind. I just hit the live button again. I think it was paused for a second. It was behind by like 40 seconds.
Draggor, I think you're seeing shit.
You paranoid? More
Yes,
paranoid
on
than
my
me?
screen.
Okay.
It may have happened as like a reminder. Don't live stream this with any of your friends.
But it's PBS.
I know it is like
This
it's
is very
public.
serious and should not be shared or watched.
YouTube. Why don't people want to watch on our service? I mean, you guys. Sorry. Let's be fair. I encourage all of you to watch this yourself on YouTube to give them their view or whatever they want. Like if you want, this is for commentary and education purposes only. This is a fair use. This is fair usage of a fucking stream. I think this is pretty fucking fair use.
Should fucking
This is
be.
transformative. However, we are basically telling people that this is an alternative to watching the debate live. So that kind of takes away my fair use argument.
I mean, it's election shit. No one should have any ownership or access over any of it.
Yes,
Everyone should be able to do this.
So ridiculous.
There
Give
they
them
are.
their fucking click in the background. Open up that in a different browser, I guess.
All right. Oh yeah, my other theory is that like the do you think the video sets off? Is there an auto thing? Do you think someone manually took down my thing last time? I don't know, man. That's what weirds me out. That's what weirds me out.
The debate police.
That's what is it? The debate police? Is it that someone watching was just like fuck this guy? And was it that like CNN was actively clicking around and
Someone's like, games are political as they are. Politics in my gaming channel.
I made it too easy last time. Well, it's more that a lot of randos show up when I do these because they
Oh yeah.
they just want to see the politics. But now I had to make it less obvious and searchable. So now they probably won't even show
Because
up
it's politics on the internet.
on the internet. All right. Oh, we're only 1 minute away. I thought we were already like past time.
Oh yeah, this is so
I
like.
swear my door buzzer's gonna happen right when it starts.
Probably getting food.
Oh, hell
yeah.
yeah.
You said food like
Bring him in and ask who he wants to vote for.
Bring him in, and if he says Andrew Yang, then you win. Because that'd be really funny.
Yang Yang. You give him a hat.
He's wearing the math hat when you open the door. You're like, well.
I mean, I'm gonna ask him. I'm not gonna ask him on. I want him to leave. But
what if it was actually Papa John?
I don't know if I would. Yeah, it's literally Papa John delivering his own pizza.
He's like, I've eaten 40 pizzas in the last day.
Are you actually not? Would you not ask him on? Are you even not gonna ask?
I would phrase it in a way. Oh, I'd ask on Papa John. I don't know. Am I gonna platform Papa John?
A delivery person is coming.
Platform Papa John.
I have one shot of a question.
You should just ask him, who's your favorite Democrat? Because that's less pressure, because that's not who you're going to vote for. That's who's your favorite Democrat. So,
Damn.
so if they like Trump, they don't even have to tell you. Cat made me a sandwich. Hooray.
Wow, it's floating in.
A sandwich. For me, the universe gave me a sandwich.
Oh, man, big sandwich. Give him Pepper the dollars.
Big sand. Look. I think you mean Yum Foods. That's big sandwich. Even though most of their stuff is tacos. They have a Taco Bell and KFC company. Fuck, do they don't do any ones that actually make sandwiches their main thing? Because they're not Burger King, or are they Burger King?
Subway would definitely be big sandwich.
I guess.
Yeah, but they're gross.
Subway's apparently like the #1 fast food.
Yeah, last I checked.
Like they make the most money of it. How?
Fucking Subways are
I
everywhere.
hate Subway. Like I am so.
Oh, the Buddha Judge is back.
The Buddha Judge.
Pete Buddha Judge.
Who will judge the Buddhas? Only Pete. Fight me around. Okay, I'm turning audio on. Good luck, everybody.
Here comes the purple people.
Hey, if you remember, tweet that this is starting and everyone should come.
Bernie, breaking
My
convention
YouTube
with the
stream
left
synced
wave, not the right. I just need to point that out.
Subscribe. So you got a sexy chord now.
Look what's happening.
You haven't heard these songs before, have you? I'm sorry, I can't make them any quieter.
That's some synthy synth.
That's a vocoder. It took a lot of time. There's way too much effort put into that shit. Hold on a second.
You know what? I just heard that T-Pain can sing.
Yeah. T-Pain's like a very good musician. That's the shittiest thing about like certain bits of pop culture is that they make us forget that. That's the other one. T-Pain is a very good musician, and also who's the guy who wears he wears a clock on his neck? He's like way out of pop culture.
Oh man, Flavor Flav?
Flavor Flav is a very good drummer and producer. He's genuinely a good hip hop producer.
Now live from
Awesome.
Los Angeles, Judy
Which
Woodruff.
sucks because all I know about him is he's the goofy guy who wears a fucking clock on his head.
Hey, everyone's got a thing.
Public
And
Enemy's
he
band.
fucking rocked it.
1 minute,
Everyone has a thing,
15
that's true.
seconds to answer direct questions from the moderators, and 45 seconds to answer rebuttal and follow-up questions. Tonight's podium order
Wonder
on
how
the
often
stage was
people asked him what
determined
time
by
it was.
an average of recent polls. And let's begin. To the candidates. Last night at this hour,
Shit.
the House of
Here we
Representatives
go again.
voted for only the third time in American
He's been impeached.
history
What do you think?
to impeach the president.
Good.
Every one
Next
of you
question.
was in favor
Oh my
of
God, this really looks
But
like a
unlike
Jeopardy panel.
1974 and President Nixon.
Looks like a fucking
Congressional
projection
Democrats
screen
have
behind
so
her.
far not convinced a strong majority of Americans to support impeachment.
Are so
of
far
President
not
Trump.
convinced.
What the
Why
fuck
do you
is
think
going
that
on?
is, and what can you say or do differently in the coming weeks to persuade more Americans that this is the right thing to do?
Tell them
I wanna
to
ask
read the
all of you to
fucking
respond,
shit.
To begin with
I will tell them that you need to read the newspaper. And if that doesn't change your mind, then you can
Trump's response to suggest that only half of the American
go to the
people
public
want
library.
to see him thrown out of office now, I find is dumbing down the presidency beyond what I ever thought he would.
There's a very good some more news with Cody Johnson. Watch that.
The Chinese leader is rated.
Oh yeah, we have to
above
talk a certain amount in case the
American
audio is what
president.
fucks
Or
us
that
up.
Vladimir Putin
Yeah.
congratulated him, saying staying fast, and in fact, It was a
What's
mistake.
Joe's
to impeach him.
answer?
You know, we need to restore
Mentioning the
integrity
Chinese?
of
Okay,
I've already
sure.
mentioned
the
Russia.
office of the presidency. And it's about time we get
I don't
that
even know
underway.
where we're
My
going
job,
now.
and I think the job of all of us up here is to, in fact, well, that's not true. Some are going to be actually voting in the Senate. But my job
right.
is to just go out and
Oh,
make
they
the
skipped
case
opening
why he doesn't
statements, at least that I
deserve to be
noticed.
president of
That's
the United States for another 4 years.
Senator Sanders, why do you think more people
One lady.
are
Woo.
not in support of impeachment? And what else can you do?
Judy, what I would say that we have a president who is a pathological liar.
Yeah.
We have a president
Was there like one clap in the
I
background?
think someone just like
in the modern history
was walking,
of this
but it was
country.
very quiet for a second.
And we have a president who is a fraud. Because during his campaign, he told working people one thing, and he ended up doing something else.
Holy shit.
I believe,
Bring
and
it
I
back to
will
working
personally be doing this in the coming weeks and months, is making the case that we have a president who has sold out the working families of this country. Who wants
doing
to
an
cut
opening
Social
statement whether they
Security,
want him to or
Medicare,
not.
And Medicaid after
It's
he
like,
promised
it is
he
my
would not
opening
do
statement,
that,
bastards.
and who
So
has
this is it.
I'm gonna tell that son of a bitch.
lied thousands
Look him
of
in his face.
times since he is
I'm
president.
gonna tell
I
Big
will
The
say-
case
Sandwich.
to be made is,
Big
yeah,
sandwich.
certainly I
days
disagree
are numbered.
with Trump on virtually all of his policies. But what conservatives, I think, understand is that we cannot have a president with that temperament who is dishonoring the presidency of the United States.
Senator Warren,
Man, he's got
why
the
do you
finger
think-
move down, I will say.
Why
He's
do you
like
think
boom, boom,
more
boom,
Americans
big
don't
sandwich.
I think there's a very
Boom, boom, boom.
What more can you say?
I think there's a very narrow
I see
vein.
This is a constitutional
never mind.
moment.
I wanna hear her talk.
Last night, the president
Yeah.
was impeached. And everyone now in the Senate who's taken a constitutional oath to uphold our Constitution, and that doesn't mean loyalty to an individual. It doesn't mean loyalty to a political party. It means loyalty to our country. And
I don't
that
know,
vote will
man.
play out in the next several weeks.
I think a lot of people
The
are
way
just
I
loyal to
see
a
this
party.
is we've now seen the impact of corruption, and that's what's clearly on the stage in 2020, is how we are going to run against the most corrupt president in living history. You know, this president has made corruption originally his argument that he would drain the swamp.
Right.
And yet he came to Washington, broke that promise, and has done
Well,
everything he
It depends on who you
can
consider the
and
swamp
well.
lady, because a lot of people think
From
he's done a great
tax
job of
breaks
that,
to
actually.
Ambassadorships. We have to prosecute.
The average Republican I talked to said, "Oh, that's all the same. It's just whatever. It doesn't matter what they're actually doing in there, basically."
Distinction between the corruption of the Trump administration,
Very much the
and a Democrat who is
whataboutism
willing to get
all
out
over
and
that.
fight,
Well-
not for the wealthy and well-connected, but to fight for everyone
I can feel
else.
people
That's
being
why
more
I'm in
disconnected
this
than ever
race.
from their own government.
Senator Klobuchar.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Klobuchar, what
You
argument
got
can you make to persuade
enormous
more
majorities of
Americans
people
this is the
thinking
right
a thing, and then the
Let me
opposite
make the
happens.
case
Like,
to
it just
the
doesn't seem to
American
matter.
people. As a wise
Whatever's going to
judge
happen
said,
just seems like it's going to
the
happen.
president is not king in America. The law is king. And what James Madison once said when he was
She fixed her
speaking
quivery
out
hair.
at the Constitutional Convention, and by the way, I
Too
think
many
he's
people
a
made
pretty
fun of
good
it.
size
They didn't have a
president.
fan on her
He was
this
5'4".
That was my theory.
And
He just has a
what he
shaky
said,
head.
he
Yes.
said the reason that we have these impeachment articles in the Constitution, that the provisions are in there, is because
You have subscribed, so you go to Sexy Court now.
Watergate, this is a
Thank you, Peanut
global
Butter
That's a
Dog.
lot
I
of
appreciate
shit.
your
In the case
continuing
of
subscription.
Watergate, a paranoid president facing election looked for dirt on a political opponent. He did it by getting people to break in. This president did it by calling a foreign leader to look for dirt on a political opponent. And I would make this case.
Okay.
As we face this trial in the Senate, if the president claims that he is so innocent, then why doesn't he have all the president's men testify? Richard Nixon had his top people testify. We should be hearing from Mulvaney.
Guys,
who is the
we
one
already
under
get all
oath
the
witnesses
dunks,
have said
like-
that Mulvaney is the one that said,
I don't know.
okay, we're
Maybe
gonna
it's just as
withhold this
rehashing to
aid
people like us who pay attention.
Following me.
We should hear from
There you
Bolton,
go.
who told his
You
own
gotta
staff
follow.
to go see a
Hooray.
lawyer after
Thank you
they
very
met
much,
with
Gold
the president.
Guns.
That is the case. If President Trump
Can you run
thinks
polls
that
in
he
Twitch? I should be able to
not
do that.
impeached,
That'd be
he
nice.
should be not scared.
You
to
probably
put
can if you're a
forward
special
his
enough
own
boy or
witnesses.
have the right
Mayor
widget.
Buttigieg.
Oh yeah, the special
Buddha
boy powers they give to
What
some.
additional
Buddha
argument
judge.
can you make?
You have to have 10,000 followers on YouTube to be able to plug your merch. Otherwise, no powers for you.
Nope. Gotta have a certain class.
The House with
Is
no
there a way
choice.
for me to host
And I
you?
think a lot of us are watching
yeah.
this process.
You go to your
watching
Twitch channel and then,
Washington go through the motions.
go
And
to
not
the host
expecting
thing
much
and then
but a
type my
foregone
name in.
conclusion when it gets to the
Oh
Senate.
yeah, is that how that
We
works?
Just go to
cannot
your
get into
dashboard.
that sense of helplessness
Neato.
because that's what they want. They want us to be taken in by that cynicism to where we give up on the process altogether. Meanwhile, their
Booty,
allies are
your whole
laughing
campaign
all
is
the way to the
leave
bank.
everything as it
As we
is,
see
except
policies that
without
let
Trump being in
giant
charge.
corporations, some of which
Voodoo
make
Judge sounds like
billions
he
in
drank a
profits,
Coca-Cola.
pay
He's riled up.
just zero, but as we recently learned, negative taxes.
They gave him some.
All while
They gave him
block
2
policies
butterscotch
that would
candies
actually
before he got on
boost
stage.
wages for working America. Here's the good news.
They
It's
said
up
they'll
to
give him a
us.
third if he does a good
No
job.
matter what happens in the Senate, it is up to us in 2020. This is our
Xander, are you like the same
to
age as him? Isn't he like
refuse to be
34 or
taken in by
something?
the helpless,
But
to
he
refuse
still
and
looks like a little
reject
boy. I
the
don't
cynicism.
care.
That is what this presidential election is about. That is what my campaign is about.
Boy,
Our
kid
opportunity
president.
in 2020, no matter what happens in Washington,
Kid president.
to change the course of this nation.
Holy shit.
Mr. Yang, what more?
Oh, Mr. Yang.
Mr. Yang,
You on
About
Netflix,
time.
kid president.
I'm sorry, Mr. Steyer.
Please no.
I'm sorry.
Let me remind everyone that I'm the person who started the Need to Impeach movement over 2 years ago.
Oh wait, did she say the wrong name, or did they just decide to not talk to Yang?
What counts here is actually.
Also, how in the motherfuck did this guy poll high enough to get here? I had never heard of him until the last debate. I'm like, oh, who's this
He's
guy?
a billionaire.
Did he just change his face?
Actually, the most corrupt president in American history.
I don't
It's
totally
not a
hate him. I
question
just
of
don't
political
understand what he
expediency.
offers that isn't
It's not a question of
just
political
the same
tactics.
as like.
It's a question of right and wrong.
Guys,
So
I
now
made
when
a
we
lot
look
of money.
What's going on?
If he were bankrolling Warren or Bernie, that would be such a better use of his ability.
True,
Understand what's
absolutely.
going on.
Yup.
We need to have the administration.
But then I
officials-
wouldn't fucking trust him as much.
Was that why he's here? To
So
save
we
his
can
taxes?
The court that
Or is he
counts
just
here
another
is
billionaire
the court
having
of
fun?
public
I think he's just a
opinion.
billionaire having fun, but he doesn't look like he's having
American
fun. I think he's a billionaire who
deserve to
genuinely
see
wants
the
to save the
truth
world.
Of these administration
But he's got an ego.
testifying
Oh yeah,
It
well,
needs to be him.
everybody running for president.
Yeah,
though.
why did it have to be him? Why can't he get behind each other?
constituents. to
Thanks
see
for
them
following.
on
Where is
TV
he so
and tell
different?
them, Get rid of this guy,
Targoose?
or we'll get rid of
Targoose?
you.
I don't know, man.
That's what I believe in. I'm a believer in
All right,
the
how do I
grassroots
host
as
you?
an outsider getting the American
Go to your
people's
dashboard and
voice
find where it
to
says
count.
host
That's
channel.
who I trust.
It's
and
called
that's who I trust
Raid.
now.
Mr.
Those are
Yang.
different things, but the raid is the only one that it will have highlighted for you. You have to
It's clear
manually
why
add the host
Americans can't
button
agree
to
on
your little thing of
impeachment.
buttons.
We're getting our news from different sources.
I did Raid, and it says I'm
Oh, it
hosting.
still does
now.
it.
To agree on basic
But
facts.
they are slightly different.
Congressional approval
I'll
rating
tell you
last I
later.
checked
It
was
counts
something
only
like
for
17%.
points, like Amazon points. But
And Americans don't trust the media
Man.
networks to tell them the truth.
Man.
The media networks didn't do us any favors by missing the reason why Donald Trump became
Hey, it's
president in
Yang.
the first place. If you turn on cable network news today, you would think he's our president because of some combination of Russia, racism, Facebook, Hillary Clinton, and emails all mixed together. But Americans around the country know different. Blasted away 4 million manufacturing jobs that were primarily based
Blasted
in Ohio, Michigan,
like they were Team Rocket.
Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Missouri,
Blasting
I just left
off
Iowa.
fucking jobs got blasted into the
manufacturing
sun.
jobs there.
He said it
The
again.
more we act like Donald
Even
Trump
the thing is
cause
like
of all
how
our
we
problems,
lasted.
The more Americans lose trust that we can actually see what's going on in our communities and
Like
solve those
blasted?
problems.
What? That's not what you
we have
say.
to do is we have
Blasted
to stop
into the sun.
being
You
obsessed
have
with
subscribed. So you got a sexy core now.
Anyone there?
Thank you very much, Golden Guns. Holy
I
fucking
can hear
shit.
you.
I hear you.
elected in the first place. We have to take every opportunity to present a new positive vision for the country, a new
Oh, was that
way
your door? I
forward
thought you
to help
sneezed.
beat him in 2020 because make no mistake, he'll be there at the ballot box for us to defeat.
Thank you, Mr. Yang.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Yang.
Let us
Thank
move
you,
on
Mr.
to an
Yang.
issue that is on the
Mr. Yang,
minds of all
we're good.
Americans, and that is the economy. Senator Sanders. Today,
See me at the end of
House
class.
Representatives voted for a new bipartisan trade agreement among the United States.
How is your
Canada,
stream
and
ahead of my
Mexico.
local
It was
YouTube?
supported by union-friendly leaders.
Hit the
like
live button again.
Nancy
Magic.
Pelosi,
3,
and
2.
big labor group.
Oh,
like
talking
the
Bernie, everybody shut up.
AFL-CIO. They say it's going to be a big job creator. Senator, my question is, will you support this deal? And if not, why not?
Fuck job creators.
Talking to somebody
I hate 'em.
who, unlike some of my colleagues here,
Yep.
voted against.
I can
NAFTA,
create a
voted
fist
against
out of
the
5
NTO
fingers.
With China, 2 agreements that cost us over
Smash
4
you in the
million
face.
decent-paying jobs.
Creative fist.
Now, I don't agree with your statement that people think this is going to be a great job creator. This is a modest improvement over what we have right now.
Oh, I
It
was
would
hoping he was
allow,
going to say a modest
hopefully,
proposal.
Mexican workers to organize into unions, independent unions, and be able to negotiate decent contracts. But at the end of the day, in my view, it is not going to stop outsourcing. It is not going to stop corporations from moving to Mexico, where manufacturing workers make less than $2 an hour. What we need is a trade policy that stands up for workers, stands up for farmers, and by the way, the word climate change, to the best of my knowledge, is not discussed in this new NAFTA agreement at all, which is an outrage. So no, I will not be voting for this agreement, although it makes some modest improvements.
I feel like it's the easiest campaign in the world to do because we're just doing so little about so much
I'll
shit.
go with my friend Sherrod Brown.
You can just stand there and
who
go,
has voted
healthcare, climate
against every
change,
trade
and then that's your
agreement
campaign.
that's come in front of him, and he's voting for this, and I am
That's a
too.
thing.
And
Okay,
the
now I'm
reason
hosting
I
you,
am
Nito.
voting for it is that I believe that we have a change with this agreement. I would not have voted for the agreement.
Thank you for following me.
I wasn't following you already?
Thanks, Dragon Show.
And a better deal when it comes to the
How was I not
pharmaceutical
following
pollution,
you?
which I
I know you didn't
also
do it.
oppose.
That's
95% of our customers are outside of our borders. And we have to make sure that we have trade agreements that are more fair. Because if we can encourage work made in America, every time you hold something in your hand that says made in America, it is the ingenuity of our workers. It is a quality of a product. It is equality of our workers. And it
That is the clover jar. He will hit you over the head with the clover jar.
I mean, it's just weird to like be able to brag about how U.S. made means U.S. quality when we also are just struggling to pay people as little as possible at all times.
And for those people
Right.
that are hurt,
I want
by
stuff
the
made
fact
here
that we will
because
not have
it
a
might
trade
help
segment
people have
with
less shitty
Mexico
lives.
and with
Hey,
Canada
hey, did you know
and
made in the
United
USA
States,
also means
I
it
think
could
that
be
this
made
is a
in
much better
prisons?
deal.
And it often does.
I forgot about that.
I see some other hands up.
That's really, really true.
That's how you get around
That
it.
also should be illegal.
With this.
Yeah?
I'm going to initially address to Vice President Biden, and that is the overall U.S. economy right now looks strong. The unemployment rate is at historic
Yeah, but strong for
lows.
who? Like, it looks strong on
Unemployment
paper.
among African
Do you feel like
Americans is down.
do you feel loaded right now,
Markets are
Xander?
booming, wages.
Nope.
while
Does everybody
not
watching this
growing
feel
as
really
much as
rich?
many would like. They're still doing about as well as they were.
Did the Dow
so
going up?
strong.
Did the Dow going up really help your life?
My question to you, Mr. Vice President, is what
so strong, I got
is
laid the
your
fuck
argument
off.
to a voter
I know,
watching
it's
this
great.
debate tonight, who may not like everything President Trump does, but they really like this economy and they don't.
When the
know
economy's
why
bad, they remind you over and over how
Well,
the
I don't
president
think they
doesn't
really do
actually
like the
responsible for
economy.
the
Go back
condition of
and
the
talk
economy.
to
And then when it
the
does
old
well, they're
neighbors
like,
in the
well,
middle-class neighborhoods
look at
we
him.
grew up in. Middle
Must be
class is
him.
getting killed. Middle class is getting crushed. Working class has no way up as a consequence. You have, for example, farmers in the Midwest, 40% of them couldn't pay their bills last year. You have most Americans, if they
Is that maybe
received a
because
bill
you
for
are forced as a farmer to
$400
sell to
or
like
more,
two
they'd
different
have to
companies
sell
and then you just
something
decide to pay
or
you less
borrow the
because?
money. The middle class is behind the 8 ball. We have to make sure that they have an even shot. We have to eliminate significant number of these god-awful tax cuts that were given to the very wealthy.
They
We
talk
have to
about how
invest
farmers are
in
paid poorly
education.
as if
We
it's
have
just
to
like a
invest in-
condition of
in-
nature
in
that just
healthcare.
showed
We
up
have to
one
invest
day
in
like a
those things
curse
that make a
was
difference
put
in
upon the
lives of
land.
middle-class people so they can maintain their standard of living. That's not being done.
What's saying,
And the
subsidies?
idea that
Sorry,
we're
stuck on the
growing,
farmer thing.
we're not growing. The wealthy, very wealthy are growing.
Hey,
Ordinary
good point,
people
Joe.
are
Financial
not
winds
growing.
have
They're
not been
happy with where they
favorable.
are, and that's why we must change this presidency now.
Mayor Buttigieg, is that your assessment?
Yes, where I live, folks aren't
Yes.
measuring the economy by how the Dow Jones is looking. Measuring the economy by how they're doing. When you're doing the
Hey,
bills
good
at
point,
the end of
Booty.
the month, your kitchen table,
Yeah,
you find
good
that
booty.
even if your wages have gone up, it's not
Way to
nearly
judge
going
that
as fast
Buddha.
as the cost of health and housing. This economy is not working for most of us, for the middle class, and I know you're only ever supposed to say middle class and not poor in politics, but you got to talk about poverty in this.
Hey, I talk about poor people all the
There is
fucking
not
time.
one
Bernie says
county
working
in the
people.
United States of America where someone working full time at the minimum wage can afford a 2-bedroom apartment. In most places, not even a 1-bedroom. The biggest problem in our economy is simple. People are not getting paid.
Bitch, I couldn't afford a studio
That is
apartment.
not the result of some mysterious cosmic force. It's the result of bad policy, and we've got to change it by raising wages and empowering workers.
Come on, Yang.
I couldn't afford a video game called apartment.
Mr. Yang.
Ooby.
GDP and corporate profits are at record highs in America today.
There
Also
you
record
go.
highs, depression, financial insecurity, student loan debt.
I think we pointed out like there's one guy, student loan debt, shout out.
Drug overdoses. It has gotten so bad
Can I
that
hear
our
my
life
debtors?
expectancy as a country has declined in the
Yeah.
last 3 years because suicides and drug overdoses have overtaken vehicle deaths for the first time in American history. The fact
Hey,
is,
we're just like
this
Japan.
unemployment rate and GDP have very little relationship with people's lived experience on the ground. If you're a recent college graduate, you have a 40% chance of doing a job that doesn't require a college degree. That doesn't show up in the headline unemployment
Holla.
rate, nor does all of the families that are working 2 or 3 jobs to get by.
There's like,
Senator
there's like
Warren,
23-year-olds
you
really
have your
like
hand up.
Yang. Like, I get it.
I do.
And I have a question for you.
Well, I want to ask
Go
this
ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Because here's the problem. I'm proud to stand on a stage with Democrats who understand
Liz is so damn happy to be
that
here.
rising GDP, rising corporate profits is not being felt by millions of families across this country. I'm proud to stand on a stage with people who see that America's middle class is being hollowed out and that working families and poor people are being left behind. What we need to talk about, though, is why that has happened. And the answer is we've got a government that works great for those with money
The answer is
and
we've got a
doesn't
government.
work for much of anyone else. We have a government that works great for giant drug companies, just not for someone trying to fill a prescription. Works great for people who want to make money at private prisons and private detention centers at our border, just not for the people whose lives are torn apart. Works great for giant oil companies that want to drill everywhere, but not for the rest of us who see climate change bearing down upon us. And when you see a government that works great for the wealthy and the well-connected and for no one else, that is corruption, pure and simple, and we need to call it out for what it is.
Okay, Chad, I'm back to paying attention to you. I know you've missed me.
If you would, a brief
I am visual again.
Look, here's the response. Trump goes around saying the economy is doing great. You know what? Real inflation accounted for wages went up last year? 1.1%. That ain't great.
That ain't
Tonight,
even
while
good.
3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of America,
That fucking sucks.
500,000 Americans, including
That's a bunch of
30,000
shit.
veterans, are sleeping out on the streets. Today in America, we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth.
That's a bunch of googly moogly.
Inequality since the 1920s. We need an economy that works for working families, not just the 1%. That is what our campaign is about.
Senator Warren, I have a question for you. Every candidate on the stage has proposed tax increases on the wealthy.
Good.
But you have especially ambitious plans that, apart from health care, would hike taxes an additional $8 trillion over the decade, the biggest tax increase since World War II.
Okay, guys, it's very important that everyone
How do
knows
you
about
answer
how you
top
want to raise
economists
taxes.
who say taxes of this magnitude would stifle growth and investment?
I'd say sounds like a
They're just wrong.
punk to me. Warren.
What the fuck is happening?
She said they're just wrong.
Let's start with the wealth tax.
I like her.
The idea of a 2-cent tax on the great fortunes in this country, $50 million and above. For 2 cents, what can we do? We can invest in the rest of America. We can provide universal child care.
Hi, everyone. We are the rest of
childhood
America.
Education for every baby in this country aged 0 to 5.
God,
Universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old.
Oh, this is
and
a
raise the
script.
wages of every child care worker and preschool teacher. We can do even more for our public schools, for college graduates. We can cancel student loan debt.
See, we can
Think
cancel
about the
school.
economic
Everyone stay home.
impact.
Cancel school.
2 cents with the billionaires.
All 8-year-olds
They're
like,
not eating more
yeah,
pizzas.
Warren,
It's a
They're not
school
driving
day
more
forever.
cars. We invest that 2% in early childhood education and childcare, that means those babies get top-notch care. It means their mamas can finish their education. It means their mamas and their daddies can take on real jobs, harder jobs, longer hours. And we can increase productivity in this country, and we can start building this economy from the ground up. That's how we build it in small towns. That's how we build it in rural America. And that's how we build it in urban America. An economy that works
brief
not
answers.
from Wall Street, but that works for Main
Brief
Street.
responses from Mr. Steyer and Mr. Buttigieg.
So many of them fucking trying to cut her off.
Senator Warren, in much of what she says, I've been for a wealth tax
Holy
for over
fuck.
a year. I'm in favor of undoing all the tax breaks for rich people and big corporations.
Oh, that shit was
this administration has
ridiculous.
put through.
I like his tag.
And in addition, I've talked about equilibrating the taxes on passive investment income, which would allow us to cut taxes for 95% of Americans by 10%.
Wow, his tie is
There's
very
something else going on here
special.
that I think is really important, and that's this. We know Mr. Trump's going to run
His
on the
tie
economy.
dressed up.
I built a business over 30 years from scratch. We're going to have to take him on the economy in terms of growth as well as economic justice. We're going to have to be able to talk about growth, prosperity across the board for everyone in America.
I can tell he's freaked out by crowds because he always looks slightly up.
Understanding how to make that happen means I can go toe-to-toe with
He looks
Mr.
very
Trump
awake.
and take him down on the economy and expose him as a fraud and a failure.
But
And I
like
think
Liz
that's
Warren's
different
sightline is always
from the
slightly
other
down
people on
right or
this
down
stage.
left. His sightline is
I
always
think we
up.
need a different, unconventional way of attacking.
He's looking at
a
Jesus.
different, unconventional
It's like he's reading a
who
teleprompter
actually went
that definitely
after
isn't there.
The best prepared candidate in American history and beat him.
He's getting his cue cards from the
Also being,
angels.
right now, I think we're being offered a false choice. You either
I
have to
return.
go all the way to the extreme,
Heyo.
or it's
Oh, booty.
business as usual. Yes, we must deliver big ideas, and yes, taxes
He got
on
another
wealthy
soda.
individuals
But I am here
and
to
on
tell you,
corporations are going to
these
have to
ideas
go
will
up.
not work. You
We
need
can
to
also be
settle for
smart
me.
about the promises we're making.
Ah,
Make sure they're
yes,
promises
booty.
that we can
Booty
keep
is settling.
without the kind
Settle
of
for
taxation that
booty, the
economists tell us
booty.
could hurt the economy.
You
It's
don't
why,
have
for
to
example,
booty.
I
Booty call.
propose
We
that
can
make
just hold
college
off.
free for 80% of Americans. But it doesn't have to be.
Hey, America, would you like a blank
If you're
slate
that
in your
top 10%,
presidential
why don't you pay your
slot?
own tuition
Vote for
and we
Pete.
save
Vote
those
for
dollars
Pete.
for something else that we could spend.
Wait,
them
you
on
mean
that
the
would make
people
a
get to
big
fill them in?
Whether it's
No.
infrastructure,
Oh, no.
childcare,
That is
housing,
not a people's
health.
butthole.
On issue after issue, we've got to break out of the Washington mindset that measures the bigness
You
of an
gotta earn
idea
it.
by how many trillions of dollars it adds
With
to the
money.
budget, or the boldness of
Look,
an
we
idea
got to
by
break
how
under the
many
Wall
fellow
Street
Americans
mindset,
it
okay?
can
These people
antagonize.
can give me a
We're
lot of
gonna
money,
take
and
a
they said this
short
Medicare
break,
for
and
all
we'll
thing
be
is
right
not
back
good.
in 2 minutes with questions from my fellow moderators.
Saying the quiet part out loud.
Booty dirge.
Okay, so what's this commercial break gonna be? Anything?
Oh, boy.
2020.
I'm sending myself to commercial break.
Have we learned anything
the
yet?
cam's on. They don't know.
Welcome back, everyone.
Lights aren't on.
We
Cams
are
are
here
on.
back at the break in this debate. The first of 3 breaks. This is a short one.
We're
I'm
gonna
joined
mute
by
them.
Are their
our
lights off for the rest of y'all?
fantastic
They
panel
are.
analysts and
Yes.
journalists. And I want to first
What fucking world would it be
Their lights are out.
where the lights were somehow on for us, but for you they weren't?
The Undertaker's coming.
Oh shit! Fucking boom.
Oh, please tell me you both saw the fucking Macaulay Culkin Undertaker.
Oh,
no.
sure, yeah.
I have not. Wait, well, like from a while ago or recently?
He made a video
with an Undertaker cutout. Really weird.
Macaulay Culkin went on his. He's currently completing his like comeback YouTube tour.
Yeah, he's kind of doing the I'm rich and which I respect. I'd totally do that too.
But he's also like hanging out with the red letter media guys because they're on a similar weird waveling.
Macaulay Culkin
Yeah,
is
that's fine.
not rich in the way of as like other movie star big celebrities that everyone knows their name though. Remember, he had to work at Subway because his parents took all his money.
Did he really?
Yes, he worked at Subway for like 8 years. He was a
What?
long-time Subway employee.
Oh my god, I didn't know that.
Macaulay Culkin is.
He
like,
worked for Big Sandwich.
he worked for Big Sandwich. Like Macaulay Culkin was at one point like the biggest actor in the whole fucking world, and then he was absolutely no one. So I like him just kind of by default a little more because he's had like a regular life experience.
Yeah.
At least more regular than most celebrities.
No, absolutely.
And he
Are you
seems
kidding
fun.
me?
I was super like eye rolly when he was showing up on these shows that I like, but then I hear him talk for a bit. I'm like, no, he's funny. He's okay. Like he's. I can.
And
do
his brother's
Smokeowie.
super talented too.
Yeah.
What's his brother do again?
Most well known for playing Wallace in Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, like Jim Culkin. Oh,
Kieran McCulkin.
Yeah, he's good. I enjoy. Well, I should say I like that character, that performance. I like. I think Scott Pilgrim is an underrated movie.
Oh, it's fucking amazing.
It's an amazing 2/3 of a movie, and then a not as good as that, but still fine final act.
Yeah, but I mean, that's kind of what the comics were like. Well, I
never read the
I didn't
comics.
dislike the comics, but I don't know how you could have ended it. Like, it's such a good setup and ideas. Like, I think it's almost impossible to not be at least a little bit underwhelming in some ways. I like it overall. Even the end.
Wow, the set looks very I don't even know, weird totalitarian bullshit.
You see they have a brutalist set.
Yeah, it's like with a screen and a screen and a screen. It's too real.
It's because it looks okay on TV.
Away
Like,
from
in the
places
close
like
shots, in the tight
Miami
shots.
or Paradise, California, perhaps, Davenport, Iowa, because we know these places are going to be hit time and time again.
Well, I don't.
The
I
family
hear that We're
unit.
not going to have to relocate entire cities, but we will probably have to relocate.
Are we talking
some
about climate
individual
change yet?
residents.
Oh no! Everyone in
problem right now
everyone in the comments is talking
that
about how
this
J.K. Rowling is
climate
finally
change is an
publicly just
existential
out as a
crisis. And you
transphobe.
are seeing it here in
Yeah.
California
See,
with
I
the
thought that
fires,
was obvious
that you
before,
just
but
saw.
now it's really
You saw it
catching
in
fire.
I was always ready to give her
yeah.
benefit of the doubt if
With
she showed
Paradise,
anything else, but now
and
it's
the
like, wow,
most
there it is.
moving video from that to me was a
No,
30-second
human garbage.
video of that
She's like, I made my
driving
money.
his
Time to
little
fucking.
I hope she gets better, but until then,
with the
human
neighborhood burning
garbage.
behind him and
Yeah, I
singing
wouldn't
to her
count on it.
to
What is
calm her
happening with
down.
with
We
some
cannot
British
wait to
feminists? Like,
There's an Ojibwe
Specifically,
saying
have you
that
seen
great
Brexit?
leaders
Specifically
make
British
decisions,
ones.
Not for this generation, but 7
It's
generations
a
from
thing
now.
here,
This
too.
president
Oh
doesn't
yeah,
keep
but it
his
just seems like
decisions
on
for
Twitter
7
at
minutes.
least.
So what I think
Ooh,
we
when you
need
get into
to
like a
do,
real bad
get back
thread,
into
it's
the
British.
international climate change agreement. I will do that
You're
on
right
day
though. It's weird.
1. On day
I think it's
2,
because they're
bring
more
back
eloquent, so
the,
their stuff gets more
clean
traction
power rules.
than the American
On day 3, the
one.
gas
Yeah.
mileage standards.
They
I
don't
see the
use
governor
Twitter.
of California, who's been working so hard to get those done, defied every step of the
They
way.
just seem to care a
of the
lot
Trump
more about
administration, and then
weird
introduce
things.
sweeping legislation to put a price on carbon.
I mean,
and build
maybe
a
that's
bridge
their
to the next century.
pro-life right now. I don't know how much of a.
Upgrade our
I don't think
buildings
they
and
have
our
that kind of
building
debate like we
Senator
do.
Klobuchar, Mr. Steyer,
Guns, certainly not.
Would you support such a
Right.
new federal
Dr.
program
Q is
again,
talking
to
about
help
the
subsidize
SNP and their relationship
relocation
with
of
TERFs.
these
I went to one SNP meeting, and in it,
I am
they specifically
hoping
were like, okay, and on
we, in
Tuesday
fact,
we're doing
will
the
do
thing
what I'm
for
suggesting, which
transgender,
is
blah, blah. Like, they
declare
were
a state
acknowledged
of
in that
emergency
particular
on day
chapter,
1
but I
of my
realized,
presidency.
obviously, not all
I have
chapters are the
made
same.
this- I believe I'm the only person here who will say unequivocally
But it's in like
this is my
a
number
relatively
one
wealthy
priority.
area, too. It
I
surprised
know
me.
that we have to deal with this crisis. I know that we have to deal with it. From
That's
the
why he's
standpoint
here.
of
I
environmental
forgot.
For
justice.
climate change?
I've been working on
Yes.
this for more than a
He's a
decade.
climate dude,
I've
That's
taken
fair.
on oil companies
I'm
and beaten them
re-remembering.
on environmental laws. I've pushed clean energy
He's
across
like,
How
this
old was
country.
he when Captain
I've
Planet
prevented
came out?
pipelines, and I've prevented
Probably
fossil
40.
Like, was he the right age where he
But
did
what I know
acid
is
the
this.
first time, and this has
Not
been
only
his
can we
like?
clean up the
He was probably on the
air
board of
ever
directors
since.
approving it.
communities where our pollution is concentrated.
He
This
was
is
hanging out
also
with
the
Turner,
opportunity
like,
to
Ted,
create
you're crazy.
Literally millions of middle-class union jobs.
No one will ever watch
across
this show.
the United States of America. Our biggest crisis.
I
is
guess
our
the worst
biggest
part is like the
opportunity.
average person
And
does
if we
not care
don't
about
declare a
climate
state of
change.
emergency on
Which
day
Finn says
I don't
he-
even know how the hell you make people
How
care
we
about it.
go to the people
About
around
climate
the world
change?
to
Oh, you have
lead
to
the
flood
coalition that
their
has to
house.
happen and that only
Yeah.
America
That's
can
pretty
make.
much it,
Look,
is when
this is
they
a
get flooded,
generational
like everybody in fucking
I have a lot
Houston
of respect for the
gets it.
people on this stage. I know everybody.
Yeah,
is worried about
exactly.
this.
Everybody in
But
New
for
Orleans
instance,
gets it.
I would call on
Most
Mayor
of
Buttigieg
Connecticut.
to prioritize this higher.
Don't you think they'll just sell their
because people
house?
in his generation understand
Yeah, move.
Who's going to buy the house?
have
King
to go on right
Aquaman?
now. It's
Thank you,
also
Mr.
the
Steyer.
greatest opportunity to rebuild and reinvent America.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. Mr. Buttigieg, 45 seconds to respond.
Is his name Buddha George like that? Not
Well, I
Buddha
made clear that this will be
Everyone says Buddha
day one
George.
action. This is not theoretical. I live in one of those river cities I'm talking about. Not only that,
River City Ransom.
my neighborhood flooded.
Got trouble right here in River City.
Do we get to punch Pete?
Oh, so he's talking about getting flooded.
Do the math on that.
I got a pool table and
I know
everything.
what's at stake.
Is Pete
And it's why I
okay on
insist
climate
that
change
we
or no?
act
He's
with a
I don't
carbon
know.
he
tax
acknowledges it.
dividend
It's
with
fine.
massive increases in
I don't know how
renewable
the big
research,
corporate businesses
on
just
renewable
support him.
energy storage and carbon
It's not
storage, but
profitable
they
to fix
now
climate change right now.
have to summon the
He's just going to talk about how it's a problem for 5 minutes. And that'll be.
I've seen politicians in Washington saying the right thing about climate change as long as I've been alive. All these plans we have to get carbon neutral by 2050, and I think most or all of us have one, their impact is multiplied by
Xander, be
zero
nice to your eyes.
unless something actually
Pete's hurting my
That is why I
brain.
want to make sure that our vision for
This is
climate
why I went and
includes
got
people
whiskey.
from the auto worker down the block from me in South Bend
I
to a
have
farmer
only
a few minutes away,
soda
so that they
tonight.
understand that we are asking,
Wait, here.
recruiting them to be part of the solution.
Thank you, Mr.
Not
Mayor.
beating them over the head and
Thank you,
telling
Mr.
them
Mayor.
they're
We'd
part
like
of
to
the problem.
switch gears slightly. Vice President Biden,
What the
I'd like to
hell
ask
did
you,
we just
3
witness?
consecutive American presidents have enjoyed stints of explosive economic growth due to a boom in oil and natural gas production. As president,
Nice.
would you be willing to sacrifice some of that growth, even knowing potentially that it could displace thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of collar workers in the interest of transitioning to that greener economy?
The answer is yes. The answer is yes, because the opportunity.
Yes.
The opportunity
I'm Joe
for
Biden.
workers to transition to high-paying
Freeze
jobs,
nest.
Tom said, is real. We're the only country in the world that's ever taken great crises, turned them into enormous opportunities. I've met with the union leaders. For example,
We're
we
going to
should, in
turn a
fact, be
profit on
looking
your
at
dead
making
kids.
Sure right now
Yeah.
that every new building built
Remember
is
in
energy
Superman where they had to
contained,
like
that it
edit out his
doesn't
lip
leak
because
energy,
he
that in
had
fact,
a
we
mustache?
should be
That's
providing
what
Yes.
Joe Biden
Yeah.
always
people to
looks
be
like
able
is
to
happening
make
to
their
him
homes turn
in
to
real
solar
life.
power.
Oh,
We're
I can't
His mouth
unsee
doesn't
that.
look
out here,
real.
right here in California.
Biden
We're on
has
the verge of
CG
having
face.
batteries
His
that are
nose
about
isn't the
the
right
size
distance
of
from his
the
lip.
top of this podium that you can store
Oh my
energy
God, my
when, in
nose
fact,
to
the
lip is
wind
like
isn't
nothing,
blowing
and his is like
and
a
the sun
full
isn't
inch and a
shining.
half.
We have enormous
Are you saying that
For
Biden is
example,
badly
we talked
drawn?
about would we
Yeah.
relocate people
He's been
who, in fact,
CG'd
were in a
in.
position where they lost their home? We have to not rebuild to the standard that existed before.
It's like when
we
they take
talk
the
about
cat and then
when
cut
we
out the
come in and
mouth
help
and put a
people.
human
We have to
mouth.
rebuild to the standard that exists today.
Oh my God.
We shouldn't build another new highway in America. that
Biden
doesn't
is
have charging
cats.
stations
But
on it.
Biden just
We
is
have
a
an
human where
opportunity
someone
to
else is
put
talking off screen and
550,000
they're just
charging stations
putting
so
his
that we
mouth-
own the electrical vehicle market.
Biden
creating
probably likes the
millions of
Cats
jobs
movie.
for people installing them.
I wanna see that train wreck so bad.
I wanna see it, but not paid.
There's so many things we can
Not
do.
sober.
And we have to make sure we explain it to
I
those
made
people
no
who are
comment
displaced
about
that
sobriety or
their
lack of.
skills are going to be needed for the new opportunities.
Thank you, Vice President Biden.
The vehicle market.
Senator Sanders.
Tim, in all due respect, your question misses the mark.
Your question sucks.
It is not an issue of relocating people in towns. The issue now is whether we save the planet for our children and our grandchildren. The
I will bring
issue,
back Captain
as
Planet.
you should know.
Fuck off with
what
your
the
profit
scientists
motives.
are telling us
I
is
am
they have
Captain Planet.
underestimated the threat and severity of climate change.
Listen to
You're talking
Greta.
about
She's
the
talking to
Paris
you,
Agreement, that's
motherfuckers.
fine.
And you're
Ain't
clapping.
enough.
You
We
shouldn't
have
be
got
clapping.
to,
She's
and I've
talking
introduced
to you.
legislation to do this. Declare a national
Yes.
emergency. The United States has got to lead the world. And maybe, just maybe, instead of spending $1.8 trillion a year globally on weapons of destruction, maybe an American president, i.e. Bernie Sanders, can lead the world.
I.e.
Instead of
Bernie
spending
Sanders.
weapon money to kill each
Holy
other,
shit,
maybe
that
we
was
pool our
amazing.
resources and fight
Oh,
our
shit.
common enemy,
Thank you, Senator
which is
Sanders.
Bernie
climate
just
change.
said we need to defund the military, and I'm on board with it.
Defund the military.
Well, I shouldn't say
Defund.
defund. Just stop spending as much on it.
So since Al Franken is just Al Franken again, he tweeted the
climate
following.
experts believe that it's impossible to
What
realize
happened?
Listening to Mitch
your
McConnell
goal
talk
of
about the
net zero
decline of
emissions by the year
bipartisanship is like
2050
listening to
without
Jeffrey Dahmer
utilizing
complain about the
nuclear
decline of
energy.
dinner party
So
etiquette.
can you have it both ways on this issue?
So
Yes.
I see right
I mean, I guess
now
it's funny. He
we've
gets
got
to just
get
be a
the
guy
carbon, we've
again
got to
and
stop
just say
putting more
whatever
carbon in
shit
the
he
air.
wants.
We've got to get the carbon out of the air and out of the water. And that means that we need to keep some of our nuclear in place. I will not build more nuclear. I want to put the energy, literally, and the money and the resources
more modern
behind
nuclear
clean
plants,
energy
for
and
fuck's
by
sake.
increasing
It's just like by the time we get them done, it's like pointless.
what
If
we
we
put
should
into
just spend the money
science,
other
what we
places,
put into
is what I've
research
heard
and development.
people say.
Oh,
we
for
need to
real?
do what we do best.
That is
and
not
that
what
is
It's like,
innovate
cool, the plants will be up in
our way
30
out of
years.
this problem and be a world leader.
I mean,
But
the way we
understand,
build them,
the
other
biggest
countries build
sucks.
them
climate
faster.
problem
Yeah, because
we
you've got an
face
eminent domain
is
and
the
put them in places where people don't
politicians
want
in
them.
Washington who keep saying the right thing, but continue take money.
Same reason we
from
can't
the
get
oil
high-speed rail.
industry,
People just don't want them to build
continue
anywhere.
to bow down to the lobbyists, to
What is
the
that,
lawyers,
critical
to the think
NIMBYism?
tanks, to the bought and paid for experts.
Not in my
America
backyard, yeah.
understands that we've got to make change and we're running out of time. That climate change threatens every living thing on this planet. But getting Congress to act, they just don't want to hear it. And if we don't attack the corruption first, if we don't attack the corruption head on, then we're not going to be able to make the changes
directly
we
to the
need
forehead.
to make on climate, on safety, on drug pricing, on all of the big problems that face us.
Thank you.
We need a Washington that doesn't
Thank
just
you.
work for the rich and the powerful. We need one that works for our
Liz.
family.
Thank you, Senator Klobuchar, and then I'd like to bring in
So
Senator Yang.
California
to
isn't
Well,
NIMBY,
I
it's
wanted to,
banana, and
to
I've heard
what
this and I love
Elizabeth
it.
said.
It's
So
build
the way we
absolutely
tackle this
nothing
corruption
anywhere near
is
anything.
By winning big in this election. And the way we take on
And that's
climate
California.
change in
You're
a
only allowed
big
to build in the
way
desert.
is by, yes, talking about what's happening on the coast, as I just did, but also talking about what's happening in the Midwest, where I'm from. It's not flyover country.
I didn't
to
know
me.
you were from the
I live
Midwest. I couldn't
there.
tell.
And what we are seeing there is unprecedented flooding. We're seeing an increase, 50% increase in homeowners insurance over the last few years. And when we make these
She's a
changes,
Midwestern
we have
mom
to make
that's
clear
not
to
gonna
people
take any
that when we
shit.
put a price on carbon, that money is going to
Marble
come
soup
back
fruit,
to
they
those
are blue
areas,
because
where
we
people are
want
going
to
be
not
hurt,
get taken
where jobs
down
are gonna
by
change,
auto
and
video
to make
scanner
them
sensor
whole with their
things.
energy bills. When you make the case like that, you bring in the Midwestern votes,
Klobuchar
you win
is
big, and I
serial
think the
mom.
best way to do it is by putting
Amy
someone at the
Klobuchar
top of the
is
ticket
that
who's
mom
from
that
the
doesn't ask the
Midwest.
questions about the socks.
Mr. Yang, 45 seconds on the issue of nuclear energy. Well, first, we should obviously be paying to relocate
I like it.
Americans away from places that are hit by climate change. We're already doing it.
He just completely
We
ignored the
relocated
nuclear
a town
shit.
in Louisiana that became uninhabitable because the sea levels rose.
shit.
And we know that town is not alone. That's playing out in coastal areas around the country. The question is, do you leave that town on its own to fend for itself, or do you come together as a country and say, we need to protect our people from climate change? Part of
I'll
my
give him
plan is literally
$1,000.
called
I
move
just
people
realized
to
his
higher
pin
ground.
says math.
Because that's
Sure
what
the
we
fuck
need
does.
to do. And that's literal and figurative.
man.
Here in California, it's forest fires and
That's his whole
forest
thing.
management.
Just give money
On
to the
nuclear
people.
power,
I wish
agree
he would
with the
spend more of his
research. We
time
need to have
demonstrating his
everything on the table in a crisis
vast
situation,
math
which this
knowledge, I
is.
guess, 'cause it
Other
just seems like he
countries have had
picked a
success
word.
with nuclear power, and the next generation thorium reactors have a wealth of potential. Thorium is not radioactive the way uranium is. It doesn't last as long.
Doesn't it become like
and you
glass
can't
when
make
it's
a weapon
done?
out of it. If we're going to
I've heard of
innovate our way
nuclear
out of
waste that
this,
just is basically you
as
get a
Elizabeth
fucking
is
rod of
saying, then we have
glass
to have
back, and
nuclear
you're
on the
like,
table.
oh,
You
okay.
just have to stick it in a mountain
climate
and
to you, Mr.
hope for the
Steyer.
best.
Well, I mean, like corrosive
The point
nuclear.
about nuclear power
goo.
is
Nuclear
it's not at
waste
a
is
stage in
incredibly
the United
toxic.
States where
Even
it's
the better
competitive on
nuclear
price.
waste still
It
is
has a
on
lot
an
of
order of
risks to it in
magnitude
terms of
longer than a
disasters,
single
and we have
human
no
lifespan.
ability to
But the
store
volume
the
per
toxins
energy
that
you
come out
get
of it
out of
and
that
last
waste
100,000
is
years.
nothing
We
compared to the
actually
surface area
have
of
the
the Earth.
technology that we need. It's called wind
I mean, we
and
just gotta
solar
cheaply
and
be able to
batteries.
shoot shit into
So in
space.
fact, what we need to do, we can do.
Then we're
There's a
fine.
giant
We've got
nuclear
to
fusion
stop taking a
fireball
look at
that
this as something that we can't
Space
do.
Hey, did
elevator.
everybody
We can
lose their
do
fucking
this,
closed caption?
And we can do it
Oh,
in a way
shit.
that creates, rebuilds
Oh,
this
yeah,
country
mine's
on
been
an
going away.
accelerated
Yeah,
basis.
it's mine.
Mine's gone
Creates
too.
millions of union
my
jobs,
fault.
and we come at it from the standpoint
Oh, no,
of
yeah, there's
environmental
gone.
justice.
They
This
just
is
turned them
our
off.
greatest
Gone.
opportunity
They're
to
like,
reinvent
we're
this country,
deplatforming
to
this
actually take
motherfucker
on
for
the
the
biggest
death.
challenge in history and
The deaf will
succeed
never get your
together.
message
You want to
stare.
pull the country together with all this partisanship? Let's take on the biggest challenge in history and succeed together as a nation.
The deaf
That's
are
what
going to
pulls
be
people
pro
together.
climate
Steyer.
change.
I'm not.
Thanks, Jen. Vice President Biden,
Well, they certainly
Yes.
can't
you've
hear
been
it.
reassuring voters that things will return to normal
Ooh, that
once
was bad of
President
me.
Trump leaves office,
Oh,
that
whatever.
Republicans will have what you call an epiphany and come to the table to work with the Biden administration. But given everything that you have seen from current Republicans, what evidence is there that things will change?
Look, I didn't say return to normal. Normal's not
Pretty much
enough.
nothing.
Normal.
I'm
in
Joe,
fact,
and I
we
don't
have to
really
move
give a shit.
beyond normal, whether it's healthcare, the environment, whatever it is. We have to build on what we had started in our administration, and that's been interrupted very
Which
badly.
is like
number one.
why
Number
Trump got
two,
elected.
With Trump out of the way, it's not
We
gonna
need to go
change
back
things
to
in
why
a- in
Trump
a
got
fundamental
elected.
way. But what it will do is it will mean
Think
that
about
we're in a
that.
position where
You guys remember how it was real fun because Obama had a supermajority and still absolutely nothing got done? You guys ready? You guys want that again? Vote Biden 2020. He had a supermajority. That's not how gays got to marry. He lucked into that
That's
shit.
the case, we're dead as a country. We need to
No,
be
when-
able to
when
reach
Democrats
consensus.
have-
And if
have
anyone has
a
reason to be
supermajority,
angry
they
with the
form a firing
Republicans
circle
and not
for the
want to
rest.
cooperate, it's me. The way they've attacked me and my son and my family, I have no love. But
He almost got
the fact is,
Guantanamo
we
shut down. He got
have
really
to be
close.
able
It's
to
down to
get
like
things
4
done.
people now or
And when we
something. It's
can't
like
convince them, we go
ridiculous.
out and beat them like we did in the 2018 election in red states and in purple states.
Thank you, Mr. Biden. Mr. Yang, I want to switch topics to you, Mr. Yang. A new question. The Democratic Party relies on Black, Hispanic, and Asian voters, but you are the only candidate of color on the stage tonight, and the entire field remains overwhelmingly white. What message do you think this sends to voters of color?
White.
It's both an honor and disappointment to be the lone candidate of color on the stage tonight. I miss Kamala, I miss Corey, though I think Corey will be back.
Oh my God, Yang has been practicing that snap. He's like, oh, here comes the big moment. Nailed it.
And I
You
had
might
many
notice,
racial
you
epithets
might
used
notice that
against me
Corey is not
as a
in
kid.
the house.
But
However, my
Black
wife,
Latinos
Miss
have
Piggy,
something
is
much
here.
more powerful working against them than words. They have numbers.
She will be running for Senate.
The average net worth of a black household is only 10% that of a white household. For Latinos, it's 12%. If you're a black woman, you're 320% more likely
$1,000 a month.
to die from complications in childbirth. These are the numbers that define race in our country. And the question is, why am I the lone candidate of color on this stage? Fewer than 5% of Americans donate to political campaigns. You know what you need to donate to political campaigns? Disposable income. The way we fix it.
He wants quasi-public funding of elections.
This is we take
Everyone gets a
Martin Luther
credit.
King's message of a guaranteed minimum income, a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month for all Americans. I guarantee if we had a freedom dividend of $1,000 a month, I would not be the only candidate of color on this stage tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. Senator Sanders, I do want to put the
maybe.
same question to you, Senator Sanders. What message do you
answer
think?
that question, but I wanted to get back to the issue of climate change.
I don't know. I think it would
I
still
do
be the
believe
same because
this is the existential
the people
issue.
with all the money
Senator,
still
with
have all the
respect,
money.
This question is about
saying
race. Can you answer the
they would
question
just
as
get
it was
more.
asked?
I certainly can. Because people of color, in fact, are going to be the people suffering most if we do not deal with climate change. And by the way, we have an obligation up here.
We're all gonna
if there
fucking
are
die.
not any of our African American
Look,
brothers
what I'm
and
saying is,
sisters up here to
rich white
speak
people will not
about
feel the
an
effects.
economy
We're all gonna be broke because we only
African
burned
Americans
to a
are
fucking Christmas.
exploited, where black women die 3 times at higher rates than white women, where we have a criminal justice system which is racist and broken, disproportionately made up.
Thought you were
of
Bernie.
African Americans,
That was
and
me,
Latinos,
sorry, I dropped
and
my
Native
phone.
Americans who are
I had a
in
phone,
jail.
baby.
So we
Shut
need
up.
an economy that focuses on the needs of oppressed, exploited people, and that is the African American community.
Thank you, Senator. Yamiche?
Thank you, Amna. Senator Klobuchar, here in California, people who identify as Hispanic, Black, Asian, or multiracial represent a majority of the population, outnumbering white residents. The United States is expected to be majority non-white within a generation. What do you say to white Americans who are uncomfortable with the idea of becoming a racial minority, even if you don't share their concerns?
Maybe you shouldn't treat racial minorities so shittily, and then this would be a problem.
You're looking at it. And we are not going to be able to succeed in the world if we do not invite everyone as part of our economy. Our Constitution says that we strive for a more perfect union. Well, that's what we are doing right now. And to me, that means
It's already
one,
perfect. It should be
that
more.
everyone can vote, and that
A more
includes our
perfect union,
communities
not a more
of color.
white union.
This action that's been taken by this president and his people and his governors all over the country is wrong. They have made it harder for African Americans to vote, as one court said, discriminated with surgical precision. What would I do as one of the leaders on voting in the U.S. Senate? One,
talking about
stop
Georgia
the
right now.
purging.
That'd be
As
fun.
Stacey
There you go.
Abrams said, you know, you do not stop having your right to assemble if you don't go to a meeting for a year. Because you don't go to a church or a synagogue or a mosque for 3 months, you don't lose your right to worship. You shouldn't lose your right to vote. I would pass, as president, my bill to register every kid in this country when they turn 18 to vote. That would make all of these discriminatory actions in these states go away, and I would stop the gerrymandering. in addition to the agenda of economic opportunity. Because as Martin Luther King says, what good is it to integrate a lunch counter if you can't afford a hamburger?
Thank you, Senator. Let's now turn to the issue of foreign policy and the Middle East. Senator
What's her big
Sanders,
drawback?
Secretary of State Mike
She's
Pompeo
just
recently
like a
declared that the United
typical
States
every other
believes
position
moderate
she has.
Israeli
Democrat.
settlements in the West Bank do not violate international law.
She's not an anti-vaxxer,
That
is
broke
she?
decades
No, I don't think there's any of
US
those.
precedent. How
Unless
would you
Stayer
respond
is,
to Israeli
which I don't
expansion of
think so.
settlements? Would you link that to foreign aid to Israel?
All right, Israel.
Israel has.
Bernie, do you
and I
hate
say
Jewish
this
people?
As somebody who lived in Israel as a kid, proudly Jewish, Israel has the right not only to exist, but to exist in peace and security. But what U.S. foreign policy must be about is not just being pro-Israel. We must be pro-Palestinian as well.
Yay!
And whether, in my view, we must understand that right now in Israel, we have leadership under Netanyahu, who has recently, as you know, been indicted for bribery.
Oh yeah, he's
who in
going to
my view
fucking.
is a
He's
racist.
getting arrested.
What we need is a level playing field in terms of the Middle East.
Bernie said racist twice
addresses
tonight. How
the
many times is that going to
terrible
happen?
crisis in
Racist.
Gaza, where 60 or 70% of the young people are unemployed. So what my
Maybe if he
foreign
says it
policy
enough
will be
times
about
tonight,
is human
Biden will
rights,
drop a
is
boy.
democracy, is
Boy.
bringing people together
Holy
in a
shit.
peaceful way.
Last time
trying to
Biden called someone
negotiate
boy on
agreements,
TV.
Not endless wars.
Probably
with
when he was
trillions of
voting to
dollars
maintain
of
segregation.
expenses.
Thank you,
Oh,
Senator.
Strom
Senator
Thurmond, my best friend.
What we
Damn,
are seeing
he's
in
a
the
good
Middle
friend,
East and around the
Strom.
world are the consequences of this
Oh, I'm
president's
angry tonight.
failure. This
I'd say
president's
sorry, but I'm not.
refusal to lead. It's particularly disturbing in the case of Israel because he has infused domestic politics, making U.S. foreign policy choices in order to effectively interfere in Israeli domestic politics, acting as though that somehow makes him pro-Israel and pro-Jewish while welcoming white nationalists
Professionally
into
Jewish.
the White House. But it's not only in the Middle East that we see the consequences of the disappearance of U.S. leaders. We see among our allies and among our adversaries, case after case, where the world is making plans on what to do, ignoring the United States because we're no longer considered reliable. It's not just the mockery at a cocktail party on the sidelines of a conference. It's the looks on the faces
God,
of
seems
the
like it was a
leaders
year
of the
ago.
UN as they looked at the United
was like
States
2
president
days.
with a mixture of contempt and pity. As an American, I never again want to see the American president looked at that way by the leaders of the world. The world needs America right now, but it can't be just any America.
Silence,
It
the
has to
running
be
mate will
one that
always
is
be someone who
actually
never freaking
living
heard
up
of
to the
usually.
values that make us who we are.
Yeah, it's the bummer.
Supporting peace, supporting democracy, supporting human rights, supporting stability around.
Thank you, Mayor Buttigieg. Senator
So
Warren.
did you basically do
President
a roundabout
Obama pledged to close
isolationist
the detention
argument?
camp at Guantanamo Bay, but could not.
Did he?
40 prisoners remain there. Last year, U.S. taxpayers paid $540 million
Oh, we're talking
to
about
keep
Gitmo.
Guantanamo open.
There's like
Would
10
you pledge
people
to
there.
finally
How
close
many
the
did she say?
detention facility? And if elected, how will you do it?
Yes, it's time to close this facility. It not only costs us money, it is an international embarrassment. We have to be America that lives our values every single day. We can't
Hey guys,
be an
remember
America
Guantanamo?
that stands up and asks people to
I
fight
never
alongside
forgot.
us as we did with the Kurds
Most
in
people
fighting
did.
ISIS, and then turn around in the blink of a tweet
In
and
the
say that
blink
we're
of a
turning our
tweet.
backs on the people who stood beside us. After that, who wants to be an ally of the United States? We have to be America that understands the difference and recognizes the between our allies, the people who will work alongside us, and the dictators who would do us harm. And we need to treat our allies better than we treat the dictators. That needs to be our job as an America. We have the finest military on earth. All three of my brothers. And we have people on this stage who have served, and I'm deeply grateful for that. Our military is strong and important, but we need to be an America that relies on our State Department that relies on diplomacy, that relies on our economic power, and that relies on working together with the rest of the
Yeah,
world.
I am sad that,
to build
I mean,
a
you
world
can't
that
be
is
in any way even the
sustainable
tiniest bit
environmentally
like
and
maybe we should scale the
economically
military
for
back or you
Thank you,
lose
Senator
half
Warren.
the country.
Vice President
So,
Biden, why couldn't you close Guantanamo Bay?
so I get why
Why
politically
couldn't
she
the
has
Obama
to say that.
administration close
We
Guantanamo
attempted to
Bay?
close Guantanamo
But I think she
Bay,
believes
but
it as
you
well.
have to have congressional authority to do it. They've kept it open. Fact is that we, in fact, think it's the greatest.
Why can't any candidate on stage just point to the F-35 project?
What we have done around the world
and use that as the avenue to, yes, we have to spend less, otherwise we're going to keep
or
getting
what Trump has done by no longer being an
Because
honest
it takes
broker in Israel.
more than one sentence to
There's
get
no
through it.
solution for Israel other than a two-state solution. It does not exist. It's not possible to have a Jewish state in the Middle East without there being a two-state solution. And he has played to all
I don't know,
the
man.
same
A Jewish
fears
state?
and all the
Do you have to be
prejudices
Jewish to live
that
in Israel?
exist That in this country and
Hi,
in
kitty.
Israel.
Because there's
Bibi
this whole
Netanyahu
I'm not eating
and
that
I
raw.
know one
matters
another
more
well.
than
He
anything else
knows
for
that
a
I think
majority
what
of
he's
people,
doing is
and
outrageous.
that's why this is the
What we
context of
do
the
is we
discussion.
have to put pressure constantly on
Never
the
mind the fact
Israelis
that
to
it's a
move to a
freaking
two-state
rock
solution,
in the
not
middle
withdraw
of,
physical
you
aid
know,
from them
a
in
vast
terms of their
universe.
security. And lastly,
Yeah.
I think that Senator Warren is correct. We have led
Like,
by
maybe we should tackle
not
the fact
example
that we
of our
all
power, but
die
the power
before
of
we
our
get to that.
example. And the example we're demonstrating now is horrible. It's hurting us badly.
Thank you, Vice President Biden. Judy?
I want to turn to another part of the world, and that's China. Mayor Buttigieg, you have said that you think China presents more of a challenge.
That's how you say it.
Candidates.
You must have been like, guys, my name is
US clearly
Buttigieg, not
wants China's
Buttigieg. I'm like, oh.
cooperation on human rights.
Maybe he watched the YouTube
on
auto
climate
caption and said,
change,
pronounce
on,
it like this.
North Korea, on terrorism, and yet
Buttigieg.
Americans are appalled by China's record on human rights, including the detention of over 1 million Muslim Uyghurs. Should the U.S., is my question, do more than protest and issue sanctions? Should the U.S., for example, boycott the 2022 Beijing?
I think that
Boycotting Olympics
any
is-
tool
boycotting
ought
the
to be
Olympics
on
is
the
never
table,
like a
especially
doesn't
diplomatic,
do anything.
economic,
It just
and
lets
social
China win more
tools
medals.
like what you described.
He just
Look,
said,
for the
but money.
president,
But
let it
money.
be known that his
But
silence,
money.
whether it's on
Money
the
in the skunk
rounding up
butt.
of Muslim Uyghurs in Xinjiang, putting them into camps,
Listen, but money.
or aspirations of the
Listen,
people
those people
of
are
Hong Kong
dying,
for
and
democracy. For him to let
very
us, let China
inhumane,
know
but
that
money.
his silence can be
Boycotting Olympics? No.
American values.
UN
Reality is that
shit,
there's a
maybe.
lot more to the relationship with
Maybe
China than
hurting
who's
their
selling
trade
more
shit
dishwashers.
over that.
Yes, we need a much smarter trade policy. We also have to acknowledge what's going on over there. Use of technology.
I did
for
just
the
say skunk
perfection
butt.
of dictatorship. That is going to require a stronger than ever response from the U.S.
Dr. Q does
in
not know
defense of
about
democracy.
the
But
first
when
squared
folks
thing.
out there standing up for democracy hear not a
Yeah,
peep
first squared, we put money in
from
the
the
skunk
president
butt.
of the United States.
do.
What message is that sending to the Chinese Communist
Is
Party?
that happening again?
The message I will send is that if they perpetrate of anything like Tiananmen Square when it comes to
Robo
Hong Kong,
Buttigieg.
they will be isolated from the free
Buttigieg.
world, and we will lead that isolation diplomatically and economically.
Robo
Mr.
candidate.
Mr. Steyer, many Americans have been moved in the last months by the protests of the people of Hong Kong. It is Chinese territory, but what would you do as president if the Chinese government moved in militarily?
Look, there is a temptation, particularly for this president, to try and answer that on a bilateral way. The way
I
the
wanna
United
bring this
States
back to
should be
climate change
reacting
again.
in Hong Kong by gathering our coalition of democracy and freedom-loving partners and allies to push back. In fact, when we're making moral statements around the world, it should not be us threatening and trying to be the world's policeman. It should be us leading on a value-driven basis with the other people who share our values and want to change the world. We actually can't isolate
Isn't it
ourselves
funny that we
from
have
China.
just logos
In fact,
of fucking
we have
news
to work with
organizations
them as a
floating in
frenemy,
the
people who
background?
disturb
It's so
us,
any still
who
image or clip of
disagree
this
with, but who, in
guarantees it.
effect, we
It's like
are
doing the
linked
interview
to
at the
in
end
a
of
world
sport
that is
events
ever
where they
getting
had just
closer.
the board
And
with
in
all the like
fact,
Taco
if
Bell,
we
Pizza
are
Hut,
going
Nike
to treat climate
to make
as
sure
the threat that it
so that
is,
had
we are
so
going
space
to
in
have
there.
to partner with the Chinese. They're going to have to come along
we're
with
gonna
us.
be
They're going to
smart
have to
enough
trust
where if
us,
anyone puts
and
the effort in,
together
they
we're going to have
whitewash
to
it
solve
out.
this problem.
You
So
can.
the ability
Thank you,
to say,
Mr. Steyer.
what's
I
off
mean,
the
the
table,
things that
we
they
need a
currently
good
are putting behind them
relationship
are the
with
place
them,
they're
and we're gonna
doing
have
it.
to work with
And
them going
Politico
forward
isn't,
under
but
all
Politico is a good.
Thank you, Mr.
Like,
Steyer.
I
Vice
like
President
Politico's
Biden,
relatively
on
reliable.
China, we
Yeah,
now
yeah.
know that China is engaged in an unprecedented military buildup. They have just launched a new aircraft carrier. There are new signs of their disturbing espionage. campaign here inside the United States. There are a number of disturbing signs from the Chinese. National security scholars have long warned about the historical
Everybody's a
precedent
Smurf.
that when there's a ruling power and a
Yes,
rising
everyone is
power,
blue and
there's
green,
likely
damn
to be
it.
a war.
I can mess
Is
with
the
that.
U.S. on a collision course with
It's like
China?
Blue Man Group. They don't shut up.
They're on a collision course with China, but not for a war. What we have
Right,
to
let's
make
change.
clear is that we, in fact,
We
are
get
not
bluer.
going to abide by what they've done. 1 million
Make
Uyghurs,
it
as you
bluer.
pointed out, Muslims, are in concentration camps. That's what they are right now. They're being
Yes,
abused.
they
They're
all
in
need to be
concentration
drained.
camps.
All right, there we
And
go.
what we started in our
Whoa.
administration that Trump stopped, we should be
Rainbow
moving
Biden.
60% of our
Rainbow
sea power
Biden.
to that area of the
Okay, here
world.
we go. We're gonna do
So
Rainbow
what
Biden.
in
Missing
fact,
here?
the
This
Chinese
love.
understand.
Rainbow
They're not going to go any
Biden.
further. We are going to be there to protect other folks. Secondly, we in fact should
Biden,
make sure that we
sleepy.
begin to rebuild our
Holy
alliances,
shit,
which
Rainbow
Trump has
Biden.
demised with
Your
Japan
warning.
and South Korea, Australia.
That's not
and
a
all-
flickering
and
light.
Indonesia. We in fact
a
need
gently
to have
changing gradient.
allies who
Like,
understand
he
that
might
we're
have
going
a
to stop
seizure.
the Chinese
Oh, him, yeah.
from their actions. We should be gone to the UN immediately and sought sanctions against them in the United Nations.
Biden
Oh, that would be
in the
good.
club.
We have to be
I think we should seek
firm.
sanctions.
We
I
don't
think
have
it should
to
be
go to
that
war,
step.
but we have to make it clear this is as far as you go, China. And in terms of their military
But maybe we could
buildup,
stop playing this
it's
weird
real, but it
two-faced
would
thing
take
with
them
China
about
where like,
17 years
China,
to
we
build
hate
up
you
to
so
we
much,
are.
but also
We're
here's
not
all our money
looking for a
and
war, but we got to make clear
like-
we are Pacific power.
China,
and
we
are
need
not
all your
gonna back
products.
away.
Mr.
need
Yang
all your
and then
products.
Senator Klobuchar.
I have family in Hong Kong. I spent 4 months there and seeing what's happening on the streets.
China, we make all
it's
our shit
shocking.
over there.
They banned face masks in Hong Kong. Why? Because they have AI technology that now is using facial recognition to identify protesters if
Our
they so much as
fursuits,
do anything on the
motherfucker.
street, so they can follow up with them and detain them later. This is the rivalry that we have to win where China's concerned. They're in the process of leapfrogging us in AI because they have more data than we do, and their government is subsidizing it to the tune of tens of billions of dollars. I have sat with our leading technologists, and they say they cannot match Chinese resources. China
Well, in
just
that
produced
case,
its first major smartphone
Facebook
that
needs
does
to
not
become
have Google
these need to become
apps,
public
and it is
companies.
now trying to export its technology
What you're
to the
telling
rest
me
of
is
the world.
the Chinese
What we
system
have
of
to do is
state-owned
build an
businesses is currently
international
beating,
coalition to
not
set
Facebook,
technology
but
standards,
Pepper, let's be
and then
perfectly
you can
clear.
bring the Chinese to
If
the table
Facebook
in a
becomes
very real
state-owned,
way,
then we
because
also
this
get a
is their
social
top
score,
priority,
and
this
that
is
is
where we
not
need
good.
to outcompete them.
Oh,
Senator Klobuchar.
Oh
no!
no!
Sorry, I shouldn't have said
Starving
Facebook.
from,
I don't mean social
When
things.
it
I mean like
comes to
technology
Black
firms,
Mirror.
policy,
R&D
I think
places.
we need
yeah.
to keep our promises and keep our threats.
If China's
This
research and development is
president has
better than
been
ours, maybe we
leaders.
should look at
And a
why.
country like China, their leaders, they watch that and they know. He has stood with dictators over innocents, has stood with tyrants.
Okay, he's
over
real
free
bad.
leaders,
None of you saying
does
this
it
is
all
changing
the
anybody's
time.
mind
And
who
I
already
have a
wants to
little
vote for him.
different
Like,
take
Man,
than
bad.
some of my
just
colleagues
makes-
when it comes to what happened.
I mean, it's
at
fun,
that
I guess, but
conference
it's
with
debate.
NATO.
Say something.
Yeah, they were making fun of him. Some of
Joe's
the
whole
foreign
platform
leaders.
is,
I've
"I will
heard,
bring us back
senators
to
make more fun of other
Remember
senators than that.
2012?
The point of it was that
Vote
he couldn't
Biden.
Things are still
even
shitty?
tolerate it. He
Yes.
is so thin-skinned that he walked. He quit. America doesn't quit. So if we want to send a
with all the
message
hand
to the
movements?
Chinese,
Trump said he probably
we
wasn't even gonna
stand
do any of the
with
debates.
Our allies. We stand with
Yeah,
them
I saw
firmly.
that.
We have a very
I'm like,
clear
wow.
and coherent foreign policy when it comes to human rights.
I'm kind of like
my
good because
website,
it'll hurt ratings for these
amyklobuchar.com. I
shitty
have
news
the
networks.
5
Not
Rs
PBS
of our
specifically,
foreign
but
policy about reasserting our values,
Your
rejoining
CNNs and
international
Foxes.
agreements like the Iranian nuclear agreement.
saying
But it
about
all
he'll just
comes
have more
down to
rallies,
one
though.
R,
Fuck, that's still-
returning
ugh,
to
never mind.
sanity.
You gotta think these things through, Pepper.
the rallies get better ratings anyway.
Mayor
Christ.
Buttigieg, and then we're going to take a break.
I'm actually not
Break
worried about
time.
the president's bad sense of humor when it comes to being made fun of. I'm worried about the fact that he is echoing the vocabulary of dictators around the world. When the American president
Yes, we know he's very
refers
dumb
to
and bad.
unfavorable press coverage,
It's not on purpose. That's just how he
That they
talks.
all keep focusing on him and not the Republican Party.
democracy around
Good
the
point.
world gets weak.
Because
Freedom of the
this
press,
is the
not just
political
here at
class,
home,
remember?
but around the world gets weak.
They're all in it together. The only reason the Democrats did anything
just here at
was
home,
because
but for
little
the world
baby
history.
Biden was getting beat
The
up.
imperative that we
Somebody
win
talked shit
this
about one of their
election.
own,
This
so then
is
they
our
had to.
Very Okay,
Oh
I
my
just want to
God.
make very clear.
That's why we're not talking about the emoluments clause or the fact that he
freedom of the
basically
press
funnels
is deep
government
in my
money
heart.
directly into
My
his
dad
own
was a
fucking hotels.
newspaperman,
Not
and I'm
basically,
the one that
literally
asked
funnels
every
government money
presidential
directly into his own
candidate we've
hotels.
had under
He's not getting impeached for
Donald
that
Trump,
shit.
both of whom I
That's
opposed
fine.
McConnell, though,
about
like
their respect for the
McConnell
First
and
Amendment.
Cruz
And they have refused,
and the genuine,
they have
actual shitty
refused to
orchestrators.
follow the rules that Attorney General Holder put in place
Andrew
when it
Yang
came
should
to
just dab out of
protecting our
nowhere.
journalists.
Wait, we said
They would
Orange Man
not
bad. We're gonna
permit
make everyone
that
orange.
They wouldn't put a journalist in jail
Failed
for doing their
dabbing.
job. So this is not just talking points to me. This is the real world. And I think that experience that I will bring to the White House with protecting the
that's more
First
red,
Amendment is
purple.
worth more
This ain't
than
Mackay
any
Pfeiffer.
talking
This
points.
is real
We're
life.
going to take a short break, and we will be
And the beat goes on.
we'll be right back with more questions.
Orange is not horribly far off from like natural tone.
PBS NewsHour.
So I'm like, fuck. How can I make?
Will continue in a moment.
Okay, bring up a person. I'm gonna find.
It's
find
recursive.
Orange.
Yay!
Is that
Welcome
Orange?
back,
Person.
everyone. This is
Oh.
Lisa Desjardins of the PBS News Hour. Again, I'm here
The news
with
hour.
the gang for this Democratic debate tonight in Los Angeles,
purple.
California.
Gang, gang.
Before we come to you,
It goes, like,
I
right
want
to
show
green. I
viewers
can't
something
okay.
they're going to see a little
No,
bit later
no,
as
no,
well,
no.
which is
Oh,
the
it's-
other major facility involved in this debate. It's the spin room.
I can make them
This is
slightly
in
green or slightly
another
magenta. I
building
can't find
here on the
orange
campus of
anywhere.
Loyola Marymount. The
Orange is
spin
not
room
a
right
hue
now,
I'm
it is
allowed to have.
completely empty. That's because candidates are at their, or sorry, reporters are at their desks. What you're seeing right now is actually the debate hall.
The debate hall.
There is a spin room in the
Spoon
next
room?
building over. Anyway, the point I was trying to make, guys.
Yeah, like,
you
what's
know,
up?
The point is that
What the fuck is a spin
we have
room?
about
They always
500
get
members
together
of the
like
media here, some 450.
getting headlines out of this shit.
As members of the media, what stood out so far?
Okay.
That we've
Oh, wait,
had
let's
in
see
this
what they
debate.
say.
I think it's been fairly interesting. Who has something? Ryan Lizzo,
Well,
Politico.
it's been extraordinarily substantive. A lot of issues that we have not
It has?
seen
Pepper, did you-
in other
did you
debates.
hear
Really
Draggor's
interesting
question?
discussion.
Sorry, what?
on
No, I did not.
nuclear, big question.
What effect
about
does the
differences
rainbow color
between their
change
climate
Oh,
plans,
hue
which really hasn't
shift
been addressed in previous
on
debates.
color correction.
Elizabeth Warren
Nice.
and Yang disagreed on this. Elizabeth Warren would not
Oh,
add
it's a little
new
orange.
nuclear
Is
capacity
that orange?
to address climate change. A lot of scientists suggest that perhaps you can't
like-
reach the carbon
that's
reduction
his-
targets that she has put forward without nuclear. Andrew Yang, who likes to think of himself as a man of science, is okay with nuclear. Is not
Andrew
worried
Yang,
about
who
the
thinks of
Why did they
himself as a
laugh
fool.
when they
issues.
mentioned
Um,
man of
I
science?
like that you start with the nuclear.
I know.
difference.
Yeah, what the fuck was that?
Because we haven't had
it's in
debates where the
climate,
climate,
that's right.
Because
most
the
people
Earth
have
is
argued
flat,
that
am I
we're the
right?
same on climate, but
dare
we
you.
drew some interesting issues there.
Some weird shit.
On relocation, which is
Who is this guy? I don't like. I've had enough of this guy.
Biden said yes, he'd
I like
spend
this
money
guy.
on relocating
I thought was the
folks.
only definitive answer I heard.
I guess
on
as
that.
orange as I can get
Bernie
him.
Sanders just objected
Well,
to the
actually,
premise.
Yang also said that his
Yes.
plan
Yeah.
literally
Oh, that's
is
true.
move to higher
That's true.
ground, and he did answer that question directly as well.
Yeah.
I want to ask you all else about Elizabeth Warren. She took two kind of detailed questions that I didn't hear answers from her on.
Was that your phone or one of
about
theirs?
How that Stephanie brought up earlier
That was
during
my
the break
phone.
about how
Damn it.
she
was hoping that was one of their
answers
phones.
economists who say that her tax plan could actually mean a very large loss of jobs.
He thinks he's a
if she simply
scientist.
goes
Haha.
wrong.
Everyone knows
Another
those
was
don't
on
exist.
Guantanamo Bay. She said right away, definitively, she wants to close it, but
That's
the
funny,
question
Gilmore.
was how. And there, I kind of thought she's so prepared. She has so many
Marble soup
details
fruit.
in her
Yes, I
mind,
will be at
but
AC
instead
2020.
She sort of went to this larger talk of American ideals and foreign policy.
Crank saturation
Does
and
it
contrast.
matter
All right.
whether a candidate supplies direct answers and details to these questions, or do voters, Amy Walter, want
Saturation.
lofty
That was a
rhetoric?
sound.
Oh man, saturation makes this way better.
Candidates. They aren't getting into the weeds on these
Wow.
issues in the way that these candidates. They
shit.
want to feel like
this
those
is so
candidates have thought
90s. I
through
love
this,
it.
that they do
Now they're orange.
understand the
some
elements of
shit.
Oh,
the
we gotta
issue
go a
in
little
front of
farther
them.
over.
But really what they
Yeah,
need
that's
to
yellow.
deliver is, and this
That's
is the
an LSD
challenge for
trip.
candidates at this stage of the
Boom, that's as orange as I can get
process,
everyone.
But this sort of optimistic,
Contrast?
Do it.
forward-looking, a
That-
vision,
that
a
doesn't help me.
narrative, who we are as a country, who we can be as a country, and that the rest of the policies fit into that. Elizabeth Warren has a very clear narrative. The underlying
All right,
challenge.
you're
in our
welcome,
country,
everyone.
she
They're all a
says,
nice
is the
deep
corruption,
orange for you
right?
now.
It's the money that fuels our politics, that comes from big corporations and other wealthy individuals that keep us in this cycle that we're in right now. That's her bigger, broader narrative that she's been making now since the very beginning of the campaign.
Laura Barone Lopez, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Warren also has been very effective in press debates, in this debates, as you said, Amy, circling her questions back to her core message, which is about corruption.
I just realized.
And so,
Hold up a second.
and also,
Using the bathroom. I'm hitting an ad, which only like 2 of you will get,
what
but see you back in a
voters are
second.
looking for, whether it's about Guantanamo or
You
the
guys
other
keep talking,
issues
though.
that are coming up. They
Ask
want
the
to
chat
know
whether or
exactly
not
where
they
that
actually got the ad or
candidate
not.
stands.
Talk to
And
my
then they
chat. I
understand
fucking
that
never
maybe
do.
later
I'm
on
the
they'll
worst. I
figure
don't
out
pay
the plan
attention to
for
my
it.
chat.
I think that also we've been
hit us
diving
with
more
any,
into
like,
foreign policy in
genuine
this debate than we have in the
particular
past.
political questions, and
It
if it's
gives
stupid, we'll have fun
candidates
with
like
it.
Biden an
Otherwise,
opportunity to showcase
yeah,
some of his
let's
strengths,
blab. Let's
which
talk
is
shit about
something that he's
politics.
been wanting, that he's been
Let's
doing
talk
all
shit
along.
about politics. Go ahead.
If you're looking for liberal/leftist stuff in your area and you're not in a liberal or leftist area, look up your local chapter of Drinking Liberally. They're usually cool groups. They'll tell you about stuff that you might not otherwise know about, and at the very least, it tends to be a sympathetic group to have a political bitch fest with.
Nice.
All
Sure.
right. A deer is getting an ad from Big Sandwich. The question is it a macro sandwich place?
Big sandwich?
Big sandwich? Macro sandwich?
I'd say big sandwich. Trying to find the fucking invite link for my fucking. I don't know how to Discord these things.
Are you looking? What are you trying to link?
Oh, I was trying to find the link for the Draggor Show Discord link. Do they make a link? Or how does
Maybe.
how
I
does
think
that work?
so. Look up the Draggor Show on Discord. We don't have it immediately, but we'll tweet about it.
I don't know how to
soon-ish.
I don't know how to.
Xander will tweet from the Draggor Show Twitter about Discord, Telegram, and other places where you can go find Xander, Alkali, and friends for the Draggor Show.
Don't
Yay,
encourage
shameless
them.
promotion.
It's terrible. All right,
What?
thanks. Thank you, Drag. Thank you, Drag.
Look, I have to make that year I took of speech team and doing radio in high school worthwhile. I got to get my announcer voice on.
That's fair. Do we have any questions yet?
Not really.
Everyone's chilling.
Everyone's chilling like a villain. That was off key.
Oh!
Alkali's actual fur name is Alkali Bismuth.
Yeah.
I occasionally call him a black-footed big-dicked ferret, but he admits he's proportional. I can't get in trouble for that. He said that more on Big Con main stages than I've said to his face.
Yeah. Wasn't
All right,
Shelley
we got a question.
running our
Who's
shit?
the next one to actually drop out of the race?
Ooh.
I would assume Yang or Klobuchar, because they're the two bottom runners, or is Steyer, billionaire, going to be next?
Oh, to drop out? Steyer will never drop out. He has enough money.
PBS NewsHour
He'll probably drop out after a couple
Democratic
actual primaries.
presidential debate. I'm Judy Woodruff, joined by my PBS NewsHour colleagues Amna Nawaz and Yamiche Alcindor, by Tim Alberta of Politico. Now, let's turn to the next question from Tim.
Thank you, Judy. Candidates, let's make things interesting. Former President Obama said this week, when asked who should be running countries, that if women were in charge, you'd see a significant improvement on just about everything.
That's such a fucking hokey line.
Bullshit.
More woman prison guards.
Horseshit.
He
What the
also
fuck is
said,
that?
There's innate
quote,
differences
"If
between
you
men
look
and
at the
women.
world and look at the
Just as
problems,
shitty of
it's
a person
usually
as a
old
male
people,
one.
usually old men, not getting out of the way."
All right, everybody ready for a centrist dunkapalooza of neoliberalism?
Candidate on stage,
Centrist
and I'm white as well.
dunkapalooza.
Yes. How do you respond to what the former president had to say?
I got a lot of respect
Oh,
for
it's a Dunkachino.
Barack Obama. I think I disagree with him on this one.
Here he goes.
Maybe a little self-serving, but I do disagree. Here is the issue. The issue is where power resides in America. It's not white or black or male or female. We are living in a nation increasingly becoming an oligarchy, where you have a handful of
oligarchy,
billionaires who spend hundreds of millions of dollars buying elections and politicians.
The caption
You have
spelled it
more
right.
income and wealth inequality today than at any time since the 1920s.
How does it get oligarchy?
We are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care for all people, which is why we need Medicare for all. We are facing an existential crisis of climate change. The issue is not old or young, male or female. The issue is working people standing up, taking on the billionaire class, and creating a government and economy that works
Bernie
for
basically
all,
just said in serious
not
terms what we were
the
just
1%.
screaming in hysterics.
Vice President Biden.
It's like he
I'm
said,
going to
that
guess
is
that,
a bullshit statement.
You can be a woman and a piece of shit at the same time.
And I'm going to guess he wasn't talking about me either.
I mean, J.K. Rowling. There you go.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Look, I'm running because I've been around. My experience,
I'm expecting Biden to just have a little framed picture of Obama and just be like, right,
the
right,
fact is
right.
that we're in a position now, the next president of the United States is going to inherit two things. Economy that is out of kilter and a domestic policy that needs to be, we have to unite America.
You need old Joe to
foreign policy
where we have to unite American?
Be able on day one, stand up, look out, the entire world know who that person is, know what they stand for, and know they know them. And that's the reason I'm running.
And if you know me,
they know.
No one knows that I know that they know that I know.
If elected,
He trailed a sentence off and just gave up on saying the word United America and said non-America. It was great.
Are you willing to commit American history?
9 American.
Yes. Are you?
I was joking. That was a joke.
Okay.
Biden.
Biden. Joe.
Much of a sense of humor.
Oh, we've got a great sense of humor.
Casual finger food
They wouldn't put
racism
me on
at its
stage otherwise.
finest.
Are you willing to commit tonight to running for a second term if you're elected next November?
No, I'm not willing to commit one way or another. Here's the deal. I'm not even elected one term yet. Let's see where we are.
What's the point of that
Let's see
question?
what happens.
I agree with Joe Biden. You're like, what the fuck did you just say to me?
It's a nice thought.
Oh,
That's
Grandpa.
the weirdest question.
Senator Klobuchar, you had your hand
If you're elected president, will you buy a new car?
I'd like to point out we are finally down to
First
7
of all,
candidates.
we have
and,
not had enough women in our government.
it's the
When I
questions that
was
got
on Trevor
shittier.
Noah's show once,
Status quo
I
maintained.
explained how in the history of the Senate there was something like 2,000 men and only 50 women in the whole history. And he said if a nightclub had numbers that bad, they would shut it down. However, it is not just about numbers. It's about what you get
Straight
done.
people,
and
right?
that is my argument. If you look at the
politics
poll
are
in
the
the
worst.
state that knows me best, and that is the state of Minnesota, it showed in the state that Hillary had her lowest margin of victory, it showed that I beat Donald Trump by 18 points. I beat him with men more than anyone on this stage. So I think what matters in this election is can you bring in those rural and suburban areas, particularly in the Midwest? And number two, what will you do when you
Klobuchar's
get
polling?
there? And I am someone that has
She's in
filed
Klobuchar a
over
lot, but where's she
100
at these
She's in the
bills
single
with
digits.
men and
She
women,
hovers at like
with
3.
Republicans and with Democrats, including changing the sexual harassment
she
laws
gets to
for
speak
the
way
United
more
States
than
Congress
Warren.
that
Yes.
I led.
Yes.
So taxpayers are no longer going to have to
Thanks,
pay for
debate.
people
People
that
are
harass
fucking afraid
other
of
people.
Warren is
Senator
really
I
what
have
it comes
passed the
down to.
law for drug shortages.
I think
have
Warren's
done
the most
work
viable
in
of
our
the
rural
two. Well,
areas.
the most,
I
but
think
that's not saying.
that's
I
what
think she's
most
more
matters to
viable than
people.
Bernie. It's the only reason I
would
don't
be
like
so
her as much.
proud to be the first woman
I
president.
still do like her,
but
but-
mostly I want to be a president.
I
that
agree.
gets
Like,
I would
things done and
happily vote for
improves
her.
people's
Policy-wise, I
lives.
like Bernie
Senator
more,
Klobuchar.
but I don't have an issue with like Bernie is win more.
Senator Warren, you would
I
be
guess
the
I'm trying to
oldest
remind myself that
president ever
Obama
inaugurated.
also
I'd like
said
you
he
to
was
weigh
going to
in
like
as well.
forgive a bunch of
I'd
college
also be
debt or
the
make it
youngest
free or whatever,
woman
and then just
ever
nothing happened.
inaugurated.
Ah, we missed her thing. Should be the youngest woman ever inaugurated. Oh, that's a good line. I like that. She'd be the youngest woman ever inaugurated president.
Champion of AEW.
I believe
get
that
it.
President Obama was talking about
He
who
is the
has
youngest
power
champion.
in America, whose voices get heard. I believe he's talking about women and people of color and trans people and people whose voices just so often get shoved out. And for me, the best way to understand that is look at how people are running their campaigns in 2020. You know, I made the decision when I decided to run not to do business as usual. And now I'm crowding in on 100,000 selfies. That's 100,000 hugs and handshakes and stories Stories from people who are struggling with student
I got
loan
more
debt.
selfies than
Stories from
anyone,
people Who
bitch.
can't pay their medical bills.
This is why she's
Stories
popular.
from people who can't find
Because
childcare.
she
She's
understands
pleasant.
the
Most of the
tactical
people
ability
on the
of
stage run
I'm
a
not
traditional
young, but if I
campaign.
speak it
And
and then
that
go
means
right
going
into,
back
oh, by
and
the
forth
way,
from
you're
coast
getting
to coast
fucked.
for rich
They'll
people
listen.
and people who can put up $5,000 or more.
Oh, she said
in order to
selfies.
have a
Oh,
picture
God, I
taken,
am
in order
getting
to have
abused.
a conversation, and in order maybe to be considered to be an ambassador.
Thank you, Senator
Those
Warren.
selfies, no, I want to finish this.
I
Those
want to tell you about
selfies
these selfies, baby.
cost nobody anything. And I get it. In a democracy, we all have a lot of different points of view, and everybody gets one vote. But here's the thing. People who can put down $5,000 to have a picture taken don't have the same priorities as people who are struggling with student loan debt or are struggling to pay off medical debt.
Agree.
I'm running a campaign where people whose voices get heard. We can't have.
Thank you, Senator Warren.
We can't have people who can put
thank
down
you.
He doesn't wanna
$5,000
cut
for
her
a
off.
check, drown out the voices of everyone else.
Thank you, Senator
They
Warren.
don't in my campaign, and they
Mayor
won't in
Buttigieg.
my White House.
Mayor Buttigieg, you had your hand
No one
raised.
wants to be the one who has to cut her off. He's like, please don't make me
with
cut her
your
off.
selfies.
It's like, women, can one of you cut her off because this looks really shitty?
Can't help but feel that might have been directed at me. And here's the thing.
I love how everyone has
We're in the
this
fight of our
nuclear-
lives right now. Donald Trump and his allies have made it abundantly
He's saying,
clear
but
that
money.
they
That's
will
his
stop
answer
it.
again. But money.
Not even foreign interference to hold on to power. They've already put together
money.
Pete butt money
more than
Buttigieg.
Pete,
$300 million.
but money Buttigieg.
This is our chance. This is our only chance
But money.
to defeat Donald Trump.
But
And
Hey,
we
can we do something about
shouldn't try
China?
to do it
Money.
with one
Hey, can you
hand
stop doing
tied
this shady
behind
thing?
our back.
Money.
The way we're going to win is to bring everybody to our side in this
Pete,
fight.
Medicare for all.
If that
Money.
means that you're a grad student digging deep to go online to PeteForAmerica.com and chip in $10, that's great.
Money.
And if you can drop $1,000
More butt
without
money.
blinking, that's great too. We need everybody's help in this fight.
I'm not
I'm
butt
not going to
money,
turn
I'm
away anyone
and
who wants to
money.
help us defeat Donald Trump.
Can
we
we-
need Democrats who've been with us
Let's
all
do a
along, yes, but
hashtag
we also need
butt money.
independents
Butt
worried
money.
about
Butt
the direction of the country.
That would be a
If
good
you're a
hashtag,
Republican,
damn it.
Disgusted with what's going on in your own party. We're not going to agree on everything, but we need you in this fight, and I will welcome you to our side. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I will
Wait,
welcome
Senator
you
Warren,
on the
45
side
seconds to
of letting
respond.
me do what
So
the people with money
the
tell
mayor
me to.
just
Okay,
recently
chat. I'm
had a
slightly moving
fundraiser
their faces
that was held
to
in
see
a
if this is
wine
better
cave
because I think you'd
full
rather.
of
You guys are
crystals
kind of
and
over the
served
candidates' heads.
$900
I'm like, is this
a
better?
bottle of
Sorry.
wine.
It's not your fault.
Think about who
I
comes
want
to
to run
that.
this
I'm
shit.
sorry, I
He had
covered him up.
promised that every fundraiser he would do would
But
be
money.
open door, but this
money.
one was closed.
Uh
door.
oh.
We
Shitting on
made the
booty.
decision many
But
years ago
money.
Did you
that
say
rich
shitting your booty?
people
Shitting
in
on booty. Listen.
smoke-filled rooms would
Shitting on
not
booty.
pick the next president of the United States.
Oh, man.
Billionaires in wine caves
With all of
should
our
not
pictures, we
pick
made the
the
Black
next
Mirrors.
president of the United
Wine
States.
Mayor, your
cave.
response. You know, according to Forbes magazine, I am literally the only person on this stage who's not a
Forbes
millionaire
magazine?
or a billionaire.
Bernie was so. You came out of the womb trying to be president, you piece of shit.
This is the problem with issuing
Bernie
purity
didn't have a
tests
floor.
you cannot yourself pass.
Thank you for following me.
Yeah, dirt floor.
Why does that one,
If I
Pepper,
pledged never
sound
to
a
be
little bit
in
like
the
the
company
Chipmunks?
of a progressive
Thank you.
Democratic donor, I couldn't be up here. Senator, your net worth is 100 times mine. Now, supposing
It's because she's been. She taught at Harvard for like 30 years.
She's 100 years
and
older than
decided
you.
to go on to PeteForAmerica.com.
why does that matter?
And give the maximum allowable by law, $2,800. Would that pollute my campaign because it came from a wealthy person?
my
No, I would
God.
be glad to have that support. We
Money.
need the support from everybody
Pete
who is
has been
committed to
preparing
helping us defeat
for,
Donald
oh
Trump.
shit, they're gonna attack you for this. Stop cheering for Pete.
It was clever wording. Dedicated to help us defeat Donald Trump, not get progressive causes.
Senator Warren,
There's bad money and there's good
I
money.
do not
I
sell
like good money.
access to my time.
Gotta be honest with
I
you.
don't do
like
call
money.
time.
Oh, we're gonna have a crowd war now.
Billionaires.
Sorry, as of
I
when,
don't
Senator?
I don't meet behind closed doors with big dollar donors. And look, I've taken one that ought to be an easy step for everyone here. I've said to anyone who wants to donate to me, if you want to donate to me, that's fine. But don't come around later expecting to be named ambassador.
Only
Because
be like
that's
butt
what
money
goes on in
Pete.
these high-dollar fundraisers.
Good.
I said no, and I asked everybody
She's
on the
accusing
stage
Booty
to
of selling
join me.
jobs, and I love
This
that.
ought to be an easy step, and here's the problem. If you can't stand up and take
Yeah,
the
Chicago's
steps
fucked up.
that are
Governor went to
relatively
jail
easy,
for selling
can't
a
stand
seat.
up to the wealthy
Yeah.
and well-connected when it's relatively easy when you're a candidate, then how can the American people believe you're going to stand up to the wealthy and well-connected when you're president and it's really hard?
Clap louder and harder, you fucks.
I've got to respond. Mr. Mayor, we're going to give you one more chance to respond. To a donor, then you have no business running for office in the first place. But also, Senator, your presidential campaign right now, as we speak, is funded in part by money you transferred, having raised it at those exact same big-ticket fundraisers you now denounce. Did it corrupt you, Senator? Of course not. So to denounce the same kind of fundraising guidelines that
I want to
President
do that
Obama
too.
went by, that Speaker Pelosi goes by,
But
that
my
you
puppet
yourself
masters
went
won't
by
let me.
until not long ago in order to build
So,
the Democratic Party and build
Warren
a
went to
campaign
college
ready
on a
for the
debate
fight of our
scholarship?
lives. These purity tests shrink the stakes of the most important election.
So I love when she asks, when she finally gets to interact with people. It's really fun.
We'd like to bring everyone.
Just start talking, Warren.
Had your hand up first. I did not come here to
Fuck you,
listen to
Klobuchar.
this argument.
I did. I came here to hear. Yes, I did.
Yeah.
And I have never even been
Fuck
to
you,
a wine cave.
Klobuchar.
I've been to the Wind Cave in South Dakota,
Warren's gonna
which
kill
I suggest
Klobuchar
you
with
go
eye
to.
lasers.
So what is making your
I didn't come here to listen to people argue about like their how they act as a person and their politics.
That means passing
came
a
here for
constitutional
Minecraft.
amendment to overturn Citizens United. It means making the first bill we pass when I am president
fair, that's
will
a pretty
be
good fucking
H.R.
zinger.
1, which
Yeah,
is the
Citizens
ethics
United, get rid of that.
reform passed in the House, which is
That's
currently
relevant.
sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk along with 400 bills. And if you don't think we can get this done, well, we
Someone put
can,
Mitch
but
McConnell on
only
his
if
back
we
and
win
just
this
leave him.
election big.
Thank you,
Not by
Senator.
arguing with each other, but by finding what
See how you
unites
do
us and getting this done.
Allie just pointed out that a very centrist candidate was like, guys, we need to stop fighting.
Senator Sanders.
It's like, yep.
Rather proud, maybe.
Sanders is the least
only
billionaire-funded
candidate up here
dude.
Doesn't have any billionaire contributions.
He's got none.
But you know what I
I
do
wrote a
have?
best-selling book.
We have received
I don't know about
more
none, but he doesn't do any of the.
from more individuals.
He's the purest
Does Steyer
than any
fundraising.
even hold
candidate
anything, or is he
in
all
the
self-funded?
history of the
He's just
United
self-funded. I'm sure he
States
takes
of
donations,
America. At this point in an election,
If he's the billionaire guy, yeah, he just pays.
$18 a piece. Now there's a real
piece.
competition going on up here. My good friend Joe, and he is a good friend. He's received contributions from 44 billionaires. Pete, on the other hand, is trailing. Pete, you only got 39 billionaires contributing. So, Pete, to you, I know you're an energetic guy and a
Bernie has arisen.
competitive guy to see if you can take on Joe on that issue. But what is not a laughing matter, my friends.
I think
This
Bernie, I
is
think it's
why
hilarious.
3 people own more wealth than the bottom half. This is why Amazon and other major
Pay no tax.
corporations pay 0 in federal taxes.
Bernie's
we
color
need
right
to
now
get money
matches his
out of
group.
politics.
Bernie's
we should
on
run
fire.
our campaigns on that basis.
Thanks, Senator Sanders. Vice President Biden.
Yay!
45 seconds to respond.
It's been so long
Average
since I've heard Bernie
contribution
yell at
is
someone.
$43, number one. That's number one. Number two, the idea that the senator is suggesting that I am in the pocket of billionaires, when in fact
44 of
they
them.
impose everything that I have ever done and continue to do. I have
But you
made
take their
sure
money
from
and
the
push their
very beginning,
policies.
every one of my fundraisers is
kill the
open
brown
to the
people they
press.
don't like.
Every single solitary one, not one single time, period. And I've made sure that you know exactly where all the largest contribution I've accepted is $2,800, which is allowed under law. And I'm the first person to introduce the constitutional amendment to make sure that there is all public funding of elections and all private funding. And we all should take a commitment.
Okay,
make a
why didn't
commitment
that
to
happen when you
right
were in
now on this
office?
Stage. In the meantime,
Because
you got to fund a
Citizens United.
campaign, and we in fact have funded a campaign. Average contribution $43.
Thank you, Vice President.
Let me just-
Mr. Steyer,
Do you
I
not
would
have
like
a
to bring
super
you-
PAC?
Can I listen?
Bernie!
I'm running
It's like
because this government is broken because it's purchased by corporations. And I've
just
spent
looks at
10
him,
years
come
fighting those
on.
corporations and beating them and building grassroots organizations to push power down to the people. That's what I've been doing for a decade. But let me say this. There's someone who's loving this conversation, and his name's Donald Trump.
That's right.
We know how he's going to run. He's told us last week, he looked at a group of Americans and said, I don't like you, you don't like me, doesn't matter, you're going to support me because the Democrats will destroy the economy in 15 minutes. We need to go after this guy. He's a different breed of cat, and we need to beat him. And we need to talk about prosperity. And I spent 25 years building a business.
Stayer, you are grinding this debate to fucking a halt.
Have these kinds of conversations and tear each other down.
This guy's
actually go after this corrupt
I got a
president
baseball
and beat him on the economy.
Billionaire robot
He thinks he's king.
Look, we
In
need
fact, he's a fraud and a failure.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. We're going to end
Steyer's
it there.
point is we need to convince people to vote for one of us individually without telling us why anyone is better than anyone else.
Headlines quite a bit, and that is immigration.
The
Mr.
whole
Yang,
point is to say who's the best
here
candidate.
from a
We shouldn't be
professor
fighting.
Right here at Loyola Marymount. There are nearly 200
We are all good. Close your eyes and pick a candidate.
so-called dreamers in the state of California, more than any
Go
other
into a
state,
cabin,
including
wait for the
several
black
students
smoke
right
to
here
arise,
at
and that's how you get
Hillary
again.
If you win and you reinstate DACA through executive action, another president could just overturn it again.
If that
so
offends
will
anyone,
you move
congrats for
on
paying
a
attention.
permanent legislative fix for dreamers in your first 100 days of election?
Of course I would. I'm the son of immigrants myself, and I know that dreamers are essentially Americans and everything but this legal classification.
Guys, dreamin' is free.
I just want to return to this conversation because I think it's core. Our country is deeply misogynist, and most all of us know that. Money and men
That's
are
a
tied
bold
together. That's where I thought
presumption.
Elizabeth was taking the conversation. The fact is, strong societies would elect more female leaders. Strong men treat women well for the same reasons. I'm on the record saying that you need both strong men and female
He's trying to do
leaders
this
in
after school
government, because the
special
fact is, if
pacing
you
and
get
it's not
too many
working.
men alone and leave us alone for a while, we kind of become morons.
Right? So I'm trying really hard to listen closely to what the fuck he's trying to say.
So it's related to our campaign.
You get too many
finance
men
rules,
alone,
because
you
right
learn
now the
what
fact is we
compromises
operate in
you'll make to bust a
fundamentally
nut.
anti-woman marketplace. And that includes the marketplace for
Jesus
politicians.
Christ. That's good.
If we were to put 100 democracy dollars into the hands of every American voter instead of 5% contributing, you'd see that rate skyrocket to 50 or 60%, and you'd have many, many more women who would run for office because they don't have to go shake the money tree in the wine cave.
Thank you,
Could
Mr.
I
Yang.
address
In the wine
You have to
cave.
go shake the money tree in the wine cave. That sentence made complete sense, too.
Move on a permanent legislative fix in your first 100 days. Dreamers say that they are frustrated by Democrats' failure to
What's
prioritize
with the
their
wine
status in
cave?
deal after deal. So why should Dreamers trust Democrats now?
Google it. When does it end?
I believe everyone
Who
on
you
this
smooching
stage
off screen?
would do the right thing by Dreamers in the first 100 days. I would make it a top priority. I'm the son of immigrants myself. The fact is, almost half of Fortune 500 companies were started by an immigrant or children of immigrants. Immigrants make our country stronger and more dynamic. And
Yeah,
immigrants
but
are
those
being
Fortune
scapegoated
500
for
companies,
issues
even
they have
started by
absolutely nothing to
immigrants,
do
were
with.
probably all
If you
still
go to a
around
factory in
because of a
Michigan, it's not
giant
wall-to-wall
crime.
immigrants, it's wall-to-wall
Or
robot
several.
arms and machines. We have to send the opposite message of this administration. And as your president, I think I could send a very clear message where if you're considering immigrating to this country and I'm the president, you would realize my son or daughter can become president of the United States. That's the opposite of the current administration, and that's the message I would love to send to the world.
Thank you, Mr. Yang. Senator Sanders, a related question to you. Actually, Senator Sanders, I have a new question for you. You can respond to Mr. Yang's comments as well.
Respond to the immigration question?
How
This
dare
is
you,
related,
ma'am.
sir, but there are estimated to be as many as
This is
12
Bernard
million
Sanders.
undocumented immigrants in the U.S., more than 2 million right here in California. If you have a chance to forge a bipartisan immigration reform plan, would you insist on a path to citizenship for all 12 million or just a segment of that population?
All 12
This
million.
is what I would do. Day one, executive order, restore the legal status of 1.8 million young people in the DACA program.
Fix Bernie's mic, Christ.
Day one, we change border policy so that federal agents will never snatch babies from the arms of their mothers.
I like how he's talking policy, even though he's avoiding the question.
Day one, we introduce bipartisan legislation, which will in fact be comprehensive, which will result in a path toward citizenship for all of the 11 million who are undocumented. That is what the people of our country want. Trump thinks mistakenly that he is going to win re-election by dividing us up. We are going to win this election by bringing our people together, black and white and Latino,
legally
Native
divided.
American, Asian American. That's what this campaign is about. That's what America must be about.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you. I started my day-to-day with a group of immigrants who are there talking to me about housing. And I thought about this president and what he's done. He has used our immigrants as political pawns. Every single day, he tries to draw a wedge. I will be a different president. My view on
Does
this
the average person
from
actually not
experience.
understand that
When
Trump
I got
is a
to
symptom?
The Senate, Senator Kennedy asked me
Probably not,
to be one
actually.
of the
I don't
two
know.
new
It's a good
senators
question.
that was in the group to work on the immigration reform package. We
Also,
got so
apologies
close
for
to
saying
passing that.
shithead's name.
I voted for it. Not everyone did, but most
Yeah,
of
I
the
don't want to
Democrats
summon
did.
him.
Then I was on the Judiciary Committee when President Obama was president, and we worked very hard on that immigration reform. We actually
What an
passed
awkward
that with
sentence we
Republican
have to
votes.
say
Then
when
I was
President
in the small
Obama was
group that worked
president.
on the compromise on the Dreamers that would have solved that problem. We didn't get that done because this president gut punched us.
Thank you,
I will
Senator.
take my
Hooray.
views. I will take
Apparently,
this
we've just hit,
experience.
we
I
have
will
broken
get this done
11K
because
on my
immigrants
Blast
don't
Radius
diminish
fundraiser, which is
America.
Awesome.
They
is
are
exciting.
Okay, what?
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Steyer,
$11,000.
Yay!
Hurrah!
That's pretty outstanding and unbelievable. I kind of don't want to hit 12K before New Year because then I have to do a 4 solid hour stream of me playing the horse penis song on every instrument that I own.
To divide us, as Senator Sanders
And
said.
that's gonna be really shitty.
And
Like
that's
by the
what
time we
he's
get to
been
like
doing
3.5
since the
hours, I'm
very
gonna
first day
want to
he started
die.
running for president. He's been vilifying
Is one of those instruments a skin
non-white
flute?
people. He's been trying to inflame his base and scare them that if in fact white people lose control of this country, that they're going to lose control of their lives. And as somebody who lives in a majority-minority state, which is California, what he's doing is so wrong on so many different levels. I agree with Senator Sanders. We have to reframe.
He always says the
reframe
right
this
thing.
argument
It's
completely.
fascinating.
Yeah, he's not.
We have to go back to
Like
the
I don't
idea
hate that he's on
every
stage. I do
American
hate that he
is
was trying to
worth
defuse the only
being a
entertaining
full
part though.
human being on every right.
Agreed.
This is a racial argument by a racist president who's trying to divide us and who's vilifying people. It's absolutely wrong, and it's
Like
led
he's the
him
one
to
guy at
break
the like real
laws of
fancy
humanity
event
in
that
our
I'm
name.
somehow at
Thank
that
you,
we would
Mr.
have a good time
Steyer.
talking.
Mayor Buttigieg.
But yeah, man, it's fucked up.
A
It
new
is fucked
question
up.
to you, Mr. Mayor. You said last
It would be
month
great.
that the U.S. owes compensation to children separated from their families at the southern border. The consensus among child welfare experts is that those thousands of children will likely suffer lifelong trauma as a result of that separation. Are you committing, as president, financial compensation for those thousands of children?
Oh
Yes,
fuck,
and
you're
we
right.
should
We
have a
should.
fast track to
I didn't even think about that.
Because what the United
Yes, but if they
States
say
did
yes
under
to
this
that, that
president
means
to them was
reparations are
wrong.
on the table.
We have a
Good.
moral obligation to make right what was
I
wrong.
agree,
Just
but
make
On the
everything
larger
so
issue of
shitty. Just make
immigration,
it so
my
much worse
understanding
for
of this
ourselves
issue
for no
isn't
reason.
Theoretical. It's not something I formed in committee rooms in Washington. It
we are
begins with
lucky
the
to be
fact that
conscious
my
beings on
household,
this fucking
my
rock.
family,
Behave like it.
Came from abroad. My father immigrated to this country
Agreed.
and became a U.S. citizen. It comes from the fact that
Existence
I'm the mayor
blows.
of a city where
Make the world
neighborhoods that were
better,
left for
please.
dying are now coming back to life, largely because of the contributions.
We
mainly
could
of
make a
Latino
utopia and
immigrants.
an asteroid
I've
would
seen those
still wipe
same
us out
neighborhoods
statistically.
Shut down. Families huddling in church, panicking just because of the rumor of an ICE raid. Not make our country safer.
Could I
I had to
respond?
look into the eyes of an 8-year-old boy
Oh,
whose father was deported, even though he had nothing so much. as a
guys, we're at our
traffic ticket
first
against his name.
platitude.
Try to think of something to
Time
tell
to
that
talk
boy
about an
because I couldn't tell him
8-year-old
what he wanted
boy.
to hear.
Sad story
Yeah,
of
with
the
the
day.
bears
His
gone.
dad back.
And no
How
more sad.
can
There's not nearly as many
harming
sad
that
stories
young man
anymore.
possibly
Only up to one sad
make
story. If that
America
was on the
safe?
drinking game list.
Mr. Mayor,
When
just
I am president,
Hello,
Sad
Read the
based
stories
on
Hustle.
those
with Pete.
experiences, I will make sure that this is a country of laws and of values. And that
Oh.
means not only ending these unspeakable
Yes, Straight Tail.
cruel
This is the
practices
guy
of
who
war,
is gay and
but
did a
finally
PR thing
and
with the
truly
Salvation Army who is
fixing
not
the
good about
immigration
gays.
system that has needed a full overhaul since the 1980s.
Pete
What
doesn't have
was
to
all
be.
that?
Pete
4
doesn't have to be.
years, 10
Pete did
years.
an
We
ad with
cannot wait
the
anymore.
Salvation
Thank you,
Army
Mr.
apparently,
Mayor.
which
Just to
is
follow
disappointing.
up,
Oh, that is
support
disappointing.
compensation
Yeah.
for those families.
It's no more
Should the
disappointing than
US
most of the shit he
also
does, but
compensate descendants of enslaved people?
he gets
Do
to
you
be
support
completely not
reparations for
progressive because he's gay.
I
So you
support
can't say he
HR
isn't
40,
progressive.
which is the bill that has
Fuck
been
Wonder Bread
proposed in
Pete.
Congress to establish a
Bread Pete.
commission to look at reparations. But we shouldn't wait.
They're actually
for that
talking about
commission to
reparations.
do its
Oh, they have
actions
report-
that are reparative. Remember, we're not talking about a gift to anybody. We're talking about
Now my parents
many
can get all
broken.
weird.
We're talking about the generational theft
White
of
people
the wealth
ruined
of
how many of their
generations
historical lives that
African-Americans.
you don't
And just
believe has to have
crossing out a
any
racist
justification
policy
for? Oh,
and
thanks.
replacing it with a neutral one is
You
not
gotta work
enough
for
to
things.
deliver it.
So the foundation of the country doesn't count? Oh,
Its
okay.
value
Nope.
compounds over time.
Nope,
does the value of a
technically it
dollar
was owned by someone else
That is why the
then.
United States must
They're
act
lucky to have an iPhone
with
and not
investments
a.
in
Sorry, I'm gonna
minority-owned
stop there.
businesses. With
Yeah,
investments
this is
in
just
health
gonna get really
equity, with
dark and
investments
sad.
in HBCUs,
Yeah, I know where it
and
goes.
on the longer term, look at
I've been
reparations
around
so
it
that
too
we can
much.
amend what has
That
been
when
Vice
I
President
when I
Biden, do you support
mimic them,
reparations?
I just
Look,
sound like
let
one
me-
of them.
I haven't spoken.
Does
on
Biden
this
support
by chance.
reparations?
Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from
No,
every
because
single
of
country.
fucking
The
cultural
people who
and
come
physical
here
literal
have
theft
determination,
from natives,
resilience.
Africa, and
they are ready
elsewhere.
to stand up and work like the devil. We have 24 out of every 100 children
Work.
in our schools today
Work.
is Hispanic.
Work like the
The
devil.
idea
That's the
that we are
fucking
gonna
Biden
walk
song.
away and not provide every opportunity
Oh my
for
God,
them
they're gonna
is
tour
not
again.
only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America.
like
They
the
are
devil.
the future of America, and we should invest in them. Everybody
You
will
work, I will
benefit
stand
from it.
there with my
Every
arms
single
crossed.
American, and you should get used to it. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. That's
Did he
why
just
we're who
shake
we
his
are.
finger
That's
at
what makes us
minorities
different,
again?
And we should invest.
Work
Thank you,
harder,
Mr. Biden.
kids.
Senator Klobuchar, you had your hand up.
He did not answer if he wanted reparations or not.
I made my case
Get
on
in that
immigration
Uber.
to what the mayor said.
You fuck.
About
Xander.
You fuck.
So I look at this a different way. When we were in the last debate, Mayor, you basically mocked the 100 years of experience
Oh, we're fighting. Here we go.
on the stage. And what do I see on this stage?
Don't
I
fight.
see Elizabeth's work starting the Consumer Financial
You
Protection
work and I
Bureau
will suck
helping
your face
29 million
off.
people. I see the vice president's work in getting $2 billion for his cancer moonshot. I see Senator Sanders' work of working to get the veterans bill passed across the aisle. And I see what I've done, which is to negotiate
And then we have
3
Stayer.
farm bills
But anyway.
and be someone that actually had major provisions
And
put
then
in those
there's-
bills.
She's
So
not
while
gonna
you
have
can
one for him.
dismiss committee hearings.
Nope.
I think this experience works. And I have not denigrated
Like a
your
roast.
experience
Oh,
as
she didn't have a
local
Yang one either.
official.
Though.
I have
She
been
could-
one.
even I forgot
I
Yang's on
just
the
think
stage.
you should
She
respect
just
our
roasts everyone
experience
else.
when you look at how you evaluate someone who can get things done.
Thank you, Senator. Mr. Mayor, I'll give you a chance to respond.
This crowd
You
loves
actually did
centrism.
denigrate my experience, Senator, and it was before the break,
love
and
the
I was going
moderate.
to let it go
I
because
shouldn't
we
say
got bigger
centrism.
fish to
You
fry.
can't denigrate what you don't have,
You
Pete.
Oh, I
implied
don't
that my
think we have
relation-
bigger fish to fry than picking a president of the United States.
You're right.
Zing, pow, punchline.
And before the break, you seemed to imply that
She does a Rosie
our
O'Donnell
Klobuchar
relationship
gonna rise
shit
in the
in the
ranks,
First
or is this
Amendment
all
was
bluff
a
and
talking
bluster?
point.
I think she's
As if
like,
anyone up
I think
here
they're like,
has any more
Klobuchar, if you don't
or
make a big
less
move now, you're
commitment
fucked. So
to
she's
the
like, I'm going for
Constitution
it.
than anybody else.
This is the last gasp.
She's
Let me
gonna
tell you
try.
about my
She's a big
relationship
favorite of the Bill
with the
Maher's
First
of the
Amendment.
world, basically.
It is part of the
Probably. Oh
Constitution.
yeah,
that
he
says
likes her,
so
doesn't he?
That I raised my right hand
It
and
does,
swore
though.
to defend with my life. That is my experience, and it may not be the same as yours, but it counts, Senator. It counts.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Senator
I-
Klobuchar, you have
Not as
45
much as
seconds to
everyone
respond.
I
else's.
certainly respect military experience. That's not what this is about.
He
This is
tried to
about
get
choosing
Huffy.
a
I was in the
president.
army. You
And
can't criticize
I know,
me.
My view of this, I know you ran to be chair of the Democratic National Committee. That's not something that I wanted to do. I want to be president of the United States. And the point is, we should have someone heading up this ticket that has actually won and been able to show that they can
I think
gather the
Buttigieg got
support that
under
you
100,000
talk about
votes ever in his
of
whole life.
Moderate Republicans
To be mayor?
and independents, as well as a fired up Democratic base. And not just done it once, I have done it 3 times. I think winning matters. I think a track record of getting things done matters. And I
Buttigieg
also
won his
think
position with
showing our
eight-
party that we can
8,515
actually
votes.
Bring people with us, have
And
a
yet
wider
here he is
tent,
on this
have a
national
bigger
stage.
coalition,
Go the
fuck
and
away,
yes,
Pete.
longer
He's received received fewer than 10K votes ever.
Thank you, Senator. Denise?
I got to respond to that.
No, I'm sorry, fewer than 20.
I got to respond to that.
Because he's been elected twice.
Senator, I know that if you just go by vote totals
Nope,
maybe
Tulsi's
what
out.
goes on in my
She is not
citizens.
present.
Tulsi,
If you
no.
want to talk about the capacity
We
to
can't
win,
talk about her cult.
try putting together a coalition.
You work and I
to
will
bring
suck
you
your
back to
finger like a
office with
popsicle. Straight
80%
down
of
the
the vote
fork.
as a gay dude in Mike Pence's Indiana.
That's what Joe said.
Oh, right. Makes sense. So we're getting Klobuchar burns.
Again, I would, Mayor, if you had won in Indiana, that would be one thing. You tried and you lost by 20 points.
Let's talk about how we win.
Excuse me.
Let's
You
talk about
lost.
how we win an election. Something everybody here wants to do in terms of defeating the most dangerous president in American history. So let me
Say
tell you how you
oligarchy
win it.
again, Bernie.
You have the largest
Oligarchy.
voter turnout in the history of America. And you don't have the largest
Teaching
voter
new
turnout
words to half
unless
of
you
America.
create
I haven't
energy
never heard the
and
word
excitement.
oligarchy.
And you don't create
don't
energy,
create
and
energy and
excitement,
excitement.
unless you are prepared to take on the people who own
I'm sure my mom's
America
gonna say,
and are
"Have
prepared
you ever
to
heard of
speak
an
to the
oligarchy?"
people who are working in
You mean
America.
what we've been living in
We
since
need
before I
a
was born?
Progressive
Yes,
agenda.
Mom.
Medicare
Yes,
for
exactly.
all, raising the minimum wage to a living wage, leading the world in combating climate change.
So Bernie's saying
making
that
public
we only win with
colleges
turnout, and you're not going to get
universities
turnout if you're a candidate who's
available
boring as
to
fuck who doesn't want to do
all,
anything.
Because we have free tuition
So,
and canceling
Bernie's right
all
again?
student debt in this country.
Now he's just listing all the shit he wants to do.
I'd like to turn
It's
to a new
Blooney,
subject,
Blurney.
and that is, of course,
Blur.
education. Senator Warren, you propose free public college tuition and student loan forgiveness for most families.
Bernie
Why
the
should
Blue.
wealthy families be able to send their kids to public college for free? Why not concentrate that government help on those most in need?
So, as I've talked about before, I have a 2-cent wealth tax proposed
If they pay the
for,
tax, they should be able to get,
millionaires
just
and
like they're allowed to go to
billionaires, and
public
that gives us
high
enough
school
money
and use a
to
library
invest
and
in
shit.
all of our babies age 0 to 5.
I don't want to give
I'm
rich
surprised
people
I haven't heard
free
like
stuff,
Bill
but
Gates be like, yeah, I'll pay you.
they're not going to go to public school anyway. They're going to go to fucking Harvard. They're going to go to
And that will permit
Princeton.
us to offer technical school, 2-year college, 4-year college for every single person who wants an education. Cancel
I call
student
it the
loan
pay
debt
your
for
fucking
50,
taxes bill.
Yeah. Put a $50 billion investment in our
Please.
historically black colleges and
Hey,
universities.
can we talk about
and
Activision?
cancel student
Let's
loan
let's
debt
let's
for
talk about
43
Activision.
million Americans.
Fucking
Look,
millennials
this
to
is
pay
about
attention.
money, but this is also
The fact they
about
paid no
values.
taxes.
We need to make an
Dude,
investment
put
in our
Jim
future.
Sterling
The
on a
best way
fucking
to do
podium.
that is
Yeah.
let's invest in the public education of our children. That
Jim
starts
Sterling is
when
so
they're babies,
ANCAP,
and
I
it
love
goes
it.
long after high school.
Pretty much.
We want to have families. I meet families every day in the selfie lines.
What percentage
who
of his
talk
viewers
about
do you
what
think
it means to be
understand what it is
crushed
he's
by
doing?
student loan debt.
Not ANCAP.
That's why I have a
uh,
proposal popular among
that's
Democrats,
wrong term.
popular among
ANCAP is
Republicans,
anti-capitalist.
popular among independents.
No,
to ask those at the top to pay a little more,
capitalist.
so
as well.
somebody can get rid of that
Yes.
student loan debt, so
So
they can
be
make an
careful.
investment in themselves, start a small business, buy
Oh,
a car,
well,
create
Is
a
that
future
ANCAP?
for
Capitalism to the
themselves and
ground.
for this country.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Senator.
that's not
I see some hands,
ANCAP.
but I want to go to
Dr.
Mayor
Q
Buttigieg.
pointed
Mayor
out,
Buttigieg,
she
your
said
plan offers
in the
free or
selfie lines,
discounted
in a very
public
serious
college
tone of voice, and it was
only
kind of
to
a great
families
moment.
making up to $150,000
Out
a
here
year.
on the
Do you
front
think
lines,
Senator
out here
Warren's
in the
plan
selfie
offers free
lines.
college
Yeah,
to
she needs to
many
stop saying
families?
selfie. You get one,
do
and then
think
every
that if you're in
law of
that
diminishing
lucky
returns for
top
the word
10%,
selfie from
I still wish
politicians.
you well. Don't get me wrong.
Straight Tales
I
listing
just
all
want
the
you to go
various
ahead and pay your own
gigantic
tuition.
game publishing houses
Now,
that
we
just
can
didn't
still
pay
have
taxes
public
this year.
service loan
Yeah,
forgiveness for those
see?
who go into lower income fields to deal with that. But if you're in that top
Valve is
10%,
founded by Gabe
you're gonna
Newell,
be,
who comes from
for the most part,
Microsoft, so you
okay.
goddamn right
And
he
there
knows
is a
how to
very
not pay a
real
goddamn
choice
tax
on
bill.
where every one of these tax dollars goes. So I very much agree with Senator Warren on raising more tax revenue from millionaires and billionaires. I just don't agree on the part about spending it on millionaires and billionaires when it comes to their college tuition.
Means testing is not good.
Wait. No,
I waited for this word in the selfie lines.
Like if
So they could
if a
show
billion
my
The mayor
children.
wants billionaires to pay one tuition for their own kids. I want a billionaire to pay enough to cover tuition for all of our kids. Because that's
Yeah,
how
if they're
we
paying
build
for
a
it,
future.
they should be
The
able
other
to
part
use
is
the
we've got
service.
to deal with student loan
Yes.
debt.
If they
And
want,
right
which
now,
they won't.
most of the
They
people
won't
on
want to
the
go to public
stage
schools
are
anyway.
nibbling around the edges of a huge student loan debt burden that
Unless
disproportionately
the public
affects
school
people
actually is where the competitive edge is.
Yeah, if it's very good, then sure.
Go to school, more likely to borrow more money while they're in school and have a harder time paying it off. we want to make an investment in the future, then open up education for all of our kids. That's how we build a future.
Senator Sanders.
Could I respond after?
No, we've had enough of you.
I believe in the concept of
You've
universality.
talked too much, Klobuchar.
And one of the
talk
crises in
too
America
much.
today is
You
people
never
are sick
shut
and
up.
tired of filling out forms. So you're not eligible for the program today.
Oh, he's talking about
because you're
means testing being
150,
shitty.
But you lost your job, are you eligible? You get a better job, you're eligible.
Yeah, the eligibility
I think
shit
what we have
sucks.
to do is what we do with Social Security, what we do with public education.
You get it.
Donald Trump's kids can go to a public school. They should be able to go to a public school.
They
What we
won't.
need right now
But
is a
they should be able to.
revolution in education. We have got to end this dysfunctional child care system and make sure that every working class person in this country can find high quality, affordable child care. We need to make public colleges and universities tuition free. And by taxing billionaires and by taxing Wall Street, we will cancel all student debt in this country.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Tim?
That would change so much for so many people.
Switching
Holy
gears
shit.
here, Mr. Steyer.
Yeah, everybody in their
earlier this
30s
year
would buy a
in Iowa,
house.
I met a father, Bill Stumpf, and his son Kyle in Dubuque.
In areas
Kyle
that need
is
it,
a
and then
remarkable
maybe
young
there'd be enough
adult
people
with
for city
significant
planning where they would
disabilities,
base it
and though he's
around
been
not
employed
having
for
a
about
car.
5 years at a local pizza parlor. Future is very uncertain for his family. Bill worries that there aren't enough jobs, living facilities, social programs designed to meet
But
the
hey,
needs
what do
of
I
his
know?
son. So I'm wondering, as president, are there specific steps that you would take to help people like Kyle become more integrated into the workforce and into their local communities?
As the president, there's fucking nothing.
The
Like, what do
United
you
States has made a commitment to treat everybody equally.
drive to his house,
And
just
that means
personally send him a
supporting
check?
people with
Like-
disabilities,
Exactly.
both in terms of education
president.
and
if
later when they're part
President
of the workforce.
Shithead did that, that'd be
That
pretty
means
useful.
bringing the resources to bear to make sure that we're treating them fairly in school and after school to try and integrate them fully and to make them have as full a life as possible. The question we've got here across the board is, can we afford to do the kinds of things that Senator Sanders and Senator Warren are pushing? And the answer is yes. That in fact, what we need to do is to undo the tax breaks that have been given for 2 generations to rich Americans and big corporations.
All right, Stayer.
Last year, the top 400 corporations paid an 11% tax. That is absolutely ludicrous.
That's a third of what
Could
I
I
paid.
answer the question
So
on
the
disability?
answer on disabilities is a question of focus and money, as so many of these questions are. We have a country where the government is broken because corporations have bought it, they're getting their way, and for us to
Yes.
get back to government of, by, and for the people that serves Americans, including Americans with disabilities,
He does always say the
we're
right
going
thing.
to have to take that back.
Thank you. Mr. Yang, I didn't hear
Right?
a specific answer from Mr. Steyer. Can you outline specific steps that the government should take to help integrate these young people into the workforce and into their local community?
I would love it.
Like,
I
what
have
if
a
you
son
have
with
Warren
special
or
needs.
Sanders and then billionaire
And to me,
as the
special
VP?
needs is the new normal in this country. How many of you
Or
all
is
have a
that too
family
much
member
old
or friend
on one
or neighbor
ticket?
with special needs or autism?
Would you get Cory
Yeah.
Booker
Look
as
around,
the
most
VP at
hands
that
went
point?
up.
Cory
The
Booker
fact
to
is,
VP
right
to
now, we
Warren.
have to do more for Kyle. Special needs
I think
children
Camilla
are going to
is-
become special needs adults in many
I think
cases.
she
And
might
here's
show
the
up as
challenge.
somebody's running
You go
mate
to
if
employers and say,
the right
hey,
person got the
this
thing.
special needs
Yeah, but
person
she's a
can be a
cop.
contributor in your
Yeah.
workplace.
She could definitely be
which may be
Pete
correct,
Buttigieg's
but
cop.
that's
I think
not
she
the
might
Oh,
point.
weirdly.
God,
We have
that
to
would be the
stop confusing
centrist nightmare
economic
ticket
value
right
and human
there.
I think she might
value.
join
We have to
Biden.
say to our kids
I think
and
if she
Kyle
went with Biden,
that
it would
you have
weirdly make
intrinsic
sense.
value because you're an American and you're a human being.
Pepper,
We're
you
going to
cut
put
out,
a
so I
freedom
didn't hear what
dividend
you
of
said
$1,000 a
after
month
if she
in
went with
everyone's
Biden.
hands,
I
which is
think
going to help
Kamala
families
Biden
around
would
the country
weirdly make a
adapt.
bunch of
And
sense,
then
and I think
we're
could
going to
actually
take
see
this
it happen.
burden off of the communities
Yeah, but she'd
and
kill
off of
him
the
as soon as
schools
he
who
said,
do
like,
not have
the 10th
resources
racist
to
thing.
support kids like
Well,
my son,
that's the
and
thing,
make it
though.
a
That's
federal
she
priority, not
just
a
wants the
local one, so
power,
we're not robbing Peter
and
to pay Paul.
she being in the campaign would be like, look, I can't be racist. My running mate is a black lady.
Senator Warren.
And then remember, like, hey, the president was black, I was vice president. Now I'm president, and my vice president is black. Hey,
I can't be racist.
Because it gave me a chance
it'll give
to
people
work
weird
straight
Obama
out
vibes
with people
subliminally,
to recognize the worth of every human being.
like
I had
an
4
evolution of the
6-year-olds who were in
Obama
special
presidency.
ed. And what do we need to do? That's why I have a plan as a special ed teacher to fully fund IDEA. So every child with disabilities will get the full education they need. My housing plan is about investing in more housing across this country.
Is that what this vote is going to become? Just like moderates trying to Armageddon and not addressing the real problem?
that people who want to live
definitely how you get people to stay home.
people who have disabilities will have housing available to them. I make a part of my job bill that we are going to make sure, as president, I will make sure that the people who want to bid on federal contracts are treating people with disabilities fairly and paying them fairly. You've got to go at it at every part of what we do, because as a nation, this is truly a measure of who we are. We believe in treating these, the least of thy brethren, as people of value, and that is how we make a better America.
Thank you, Senator Warren. Thank you, Senator Warren. Judy?
Yeah, I know we have a lot of hands up. We have so many important topics to discuss. I want to come to you, Senator Klobuchar, on a question of the judges.
How long is
President
this going
Trump
till?
has appointed, as we know, 2 Supreme Court justices. He's also had
a good question.
nearly
Hopefully 5 more.
200 federal judges, most of whom are young and could shape American law for decades to come. Some of them you voted for in the Senate, including one who just yesterday joined a ruling to strike down a key part of the Affordable Care Act. Would President Trump's
what was that? I
appointees,
saw that in my
They
phone.
can't.
make it harder for you as
there's no
president,
penalty anymore for not having
any of you on
insurance.
the stage to enact your agenda?
So the whole thing doesn't fucking matter
I
anymore.
want to make it clear that I've opposed many, many judges, and I think everyone
It
will remember
also
what happened
forces
at the Kavanaugh
kind of
hearing.
a
When
lot
that
of like
nominee went after
middle
me, I
income
stood my ground, and he had to
20-year-olds who
apologize.
just like, I don't
So
need
I have been very
insurance,
strong
but
on these judges.
it's like
As
It makes
for
the pool
the
smaller,
judge
it
you
makes it
just
more
referred
expensive.
You need
to,
healthy
there was
people
actually
on
the
there. You
judge that
need
wrote
it.
the opinion
Doesn't work.
was a judge that went through the Senate unanimously with support by Senator Sanders, with support by President Obama, with support by then Senator Kennedy. So I think it is very important when we look at these judges to acknowledge that there are some of these judges that you think are going to be okay, and they aren't. But what would I do as president? I would appoint judges that are in the vein of people like Elena Kagan,
I was just gonna say me.
and Sonia Sotomayor,
Like,
and let's
me.
not forget the notorious
Me.
RBG.
I'm gonna appoint judges that are just like me. I thought her thumb was coming back.
Judiciary Committee.
Number one.
Look at the judges that I recommended to President Obama. People like Mimi Wright, who's a superstar.
She did say me.
Susan Richard Nelson. Look at who I put in as the first openly gay marshal in the history of the United States.
More woman
because
prison
I knew they were
guards.
qualified people to take those
Gay
jobs.
cop.
And you need to do
Thank
it
you,
not
gay
only
cop.
with the right judges and have that know-how, but you also have to
Gay
do it
cop
right
knew
away.
how to
That is one
sodomize
thing
me
that we
with
all learned
finesse.
from when President
Jesus
Obama was
Christ.
in. And that was that he
That
was,
was horrible.
dealing
Oh my
with
gosh.
an economic crisis, and it was hard to do it right away. But we have to immediately start putting judges on the bench to fill vacancies so that we can reverse the horrific nature of these Trump judges.
A follow-up to Mayor Buttigieg. Beyond a pledge not to overturn Roe versus Wade, which I believe all of you have said would be part of your decision-making in choosing a nominee to the court, are there other litmus tests that you would apply?
Does anybody know when this shit
federal
ends?
judges?
Moore says it goes for at least another hour, if
my
not
household,
2.
my marriage
No,
exists
fuck
by
that.
the grace of the
What
civil
the
government
hell?
on that body. And yes,
I'm in a
it is
shitty
critical
folding chair. I
that we
hate
have
this.
justices who understand that American freedom includes reproductive rights and reproductive freedom. But that's not all. I expect an understanding that voting rights are human rights. I expect an understanding that equality is required of us all. And I expect a level of respect for the rule of law that prevents this body from coming to be viewed as just one more partisan battlefield. Which is why I
Can we
will
talk
not
about
only
how he
appoint
totally fucked
judges
over
and
that black
justices
cop?
who reflect
Yeah,
this
let's do
world,
that.
but also begin moving to reform the
All right,
body.
I'm gonna get
itself,
another Coke. I'll be
as our
back.
country has done at least half a dozen times.
Moore's in the
its history,
chat telling me he
so
has
that
to
it is
shut down
not
the stream.
one more political battlefield every single time a vacancy comes.
Gosh,
Yamiche?
I'm being censored by
Senator
Big
Sanders,
Cat.
at least 22 transgender people were killed in the United States this year. Most
All right,
of
here we
them transgender women of color. Each of you has said you would push for the passage of the Equality Act, a comprehensive LGBTQ civil rights bill. But if elected, what more would you do to stop violence against transgender people?
Need moral leadership in the White House. We need a president
We need police
who will
accountability.
do everything
Because they're the biggest
humanly
danger to trans
possible
people.
to end all forms of discrimination against the transgender community, against the African American community, against the Latino community, and against all minorities.
Even against
in
calling
this
it the
country.
trans community.
But above and beyond providing
Like I
the
am and I'm
moral
not.
leadership of trying to bring our
A trans
people
person in
together,
isolation has any
what we also
brutality
need
from
for the
a state
transgender
institution done
community
against them, then that's a
is
problem
to make
for
sure
everyone.
that health care is available to every person in this country, regardless of their sexual orientation or their needs. And that is why I strongly
too,
support
gatekeeping is
and
so
have helped
shitty.
lead the effort for a Medicare for all single-payer program, which will provide comprehensive health care to all people, including certainly the transgender community.
Thank you, Senator Sanders. Senator Warren?
Does that mean people
The
who need to
transgender
have hormones don't
community
have to
has
pay
been
for it? Because that'd be
marginalized
cool.
in every way possible. And one thing that the President of the United States can do is lift up attention, lift up their voices, lift up their lives. Here's a promise I make. I will go to the Rose Garden once every year, read the names of transgender women, of people of color who have been killed in the past year. I will make sure
Okay, that was
we
kind of
read their
shitty. You
names so
should
that
have said
as a
trans men and
nation,
non-binary as
we are
well.
forced
Like,
to address the particular vulnerability.
anyone who doesn't
on
conform is at
homelessness.
risk of
I
death.
will change the rules now that put people in prison based on their birth.
Just because
sex
trans men tend to be able to
identification
pass
rather
more
than
doesn't mean
their
they don't
current
get fucked.
identification. I will do everything I can to make sure that we are in America that leaves no one behind.
Thank you, Senator Warren.
Liz is just so old and so far out of it that, like,
Vice President
she
Biden,
probably just stopped saying,
let's
like,
turn now to
transsexual
Afghanistan.
last week.
Confidential documents published last week by the Washington
I thought
Post
she's had a pretty
revealed
good track
that for
record of that,
years,
actually.
She does all right with it.
US
It's just,
officials misled the
I don't
public
know if it's
about
possible
the
to
war in
have,
Afghanistan.
like,
As
to be
Vice
75 and,
President,
like,
what do you
figure
know
it out.
Yes, sir, Afghanistan.
It
I feel
is.
like
It's
I'm
just
too
not
old.
statistically
What did you know
commonplace.
about the state of the war, and do you believe that you were honest with the American people about it?
Heck, I'm kind of surprised
reason I
Bernie
can
hasn't
speak
thrown
to
out
this
some,
is
like,
well
weird,
known.
like a
Many of you
Chinaman
follow
or something.
my views on Afghanistan. I was sent by the president before we got sworn in to Afghanistan to come back.
I mean,
with a
Biden
report.
does
I
that
said
shit
there was no
constantly. That's like his whole
comprehensive
thing is he
policy
just says the
available,
wrong
and then
words.
I got in a
You're
big
like,
fight
oh,
for a
no.
long time. with
Yeah,
the
but
Pentagon
Biden's been
because
saying
I
the wrong things his
strongly
entire
oppose
Yeah,
life.
forever,
nation
because
building
in his
nation
heart he
we
believes
set
the
about.
wrong things. But
Rebuilding that country as a whole nation is beyond our capacity. I argued from the very beginning that we should have a policy that was based on an anti-terrorism policy with a very small footprint that in fact only had special forces to deal with potential threats from that territory to the United States of America. The first thing I would do as President of the United States of America is to make sure that we brought all combat troops home, entered into a negotiation with the Taliban, but I would leave behind special forces in small numbers to be able to deal with a potential threat unless we got a real good
All right,
negotiation.
well, this is still going and Biden's
accomplished to deal
talking,
with
so
terrorism.
I'm going to go get a
That's
snack
been
and
my
some water.
position from the beginning.
Understandable.
That's why I
good
think
luck.
Secretary Gates.
I'm not
It's
going.
Biden time. Time to get a snack.
I'm not going more than
About your
another hour.
time
I
in the
can't
White House,
handle
though,
it.
and
I'm talking about the White House.
In that Washington Post report, there's a senior national security official who said that there was constant pressure from the Obama White House to produce figures showing the troop surge was working, and I'm quoting from the report here,
Oh, damn.
despite hard evidence to the contrary.
All right.
What do you say to
Since
that?
2009, go back and look.
They're
I
saying
was
he
on the
lied about the
opposite side
effectiveness of the
that
troop
with
surge.
The Pentagon. The only reason I can speak to it now is because it's been published. It's been published thoroughly. I'm the guy from the beginning who argued that it was a big, big mistake to surge forces to Afghanistan, period. We should not have done it.
I don't
and
remember.
I argued against it constantly.
Senator Sanders, you had your hand up?
Well, in all due
I don't remember if that's
respect
true or not.
tonight
Like,
to Joe. Joe, you're also the guy who helped lead us into the disastrous war in Iraq. What we need to do is, I think, rethink, and the Washington Post piece was very educational. What we need to rethink is the entire war on terror. We have lost thousands of our own men and women, brave soldiers. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have been killed abroad or forced to leave their countries. It is time right now that we bring this world together to try to end these endless wars and address the root causes which are causing these wars.
Senator Sanders, you do often point to your vote against the war in Iraq as evidence of your judgment on foreign policy, but you did vote for the war in Afghanistan, and as recently as 2015, you said you supported a continued U.S. troop presence there. Was that support a mistake?
Well, only one person, my good friend Barbara Lee, was right on that issue. She was the only person in the House to vote against the war in Afghanistan. She was right. I was wrong. So was everybody else in the House. But to answer your question, I don't think you do what Trump does and make foreign policy decisions based on a tweet at 3 a.m. in the morning or desert your longtime allies like the Kurds. I think you work with the international community. You remove all troops over a period of time, a short period of time, within 1 year.
Thank you, Senator. Mayor Buttigieg, you served
All right. That's
in
pretty
this
good.
war, but I want to ask about your decision
Within a year, I like that timeline.
Commander-in-Chief. You have pledged to withdraw all U.S. troops from Afghanistan within your first year as president, but the Taliban today control or contest more than half the country. So should you, as president, still withdraw all
It's weird.
those US
The Taliban
troops
at this
if the
point is
country
like
would once again become
a relatively legitimate power
We're going to leave one way or
compared to
another.
like ISIS
question
and
is
that
to
shit.
make
Like, wow, the
sure we
Taliban
do
were
it
kind of
well
chill
and
actually.
not poorly.
Yeah,
And of course, that has to respond to the conditions on the ground and the need for a political
Jesus.
settlement. But, you know, the other day I was reunited with somebody that I'd served with. The thing we were marveling at is how long it's been since we left. I thought I was one of the last
I mean, you just gotta like freaking let people have some elections.
left years ago,
We could stay for election
and we're still
oversight
there.
maybe to make
There
sure
may
they
need to be
actually have a
some
real
kind of
vote.
limited special
The
operations
military doesn't just take over.
The exact same kind of thing, by the way, that we actually had in Syria.
And then just like,
holding
here
the
you
line
go,
before the
kids,
president
do it.
yanked it
But
out,
we can't get mad when they
leading
elect
to the
somebody
road
that
to
we don't
chaos.
like.
But what we
Like,
know
always
is that
happens.
we cannot go on with these endless wars. And I'm glad that the name of Barbara Lee was mentioned, not only because of what she's talked about years ago. I believe that we had no choice but to go to Afghanistan after 9/11. But right now,
It's not about
she is
getting
one of the
mad
leaders
for
of
who
the
gets
effort
elected.
to repeal and
It's
replace
about
the authorization for the use of military
when those
force. And
concessions
the
are
folks
made,
that I serve
they're on
with
key
deserve
things
that.
that
They
are
deserve
costing
the
people
clarity
lives
of members of Congress being
or
able to
things that
summon the
are
courage to take an
about
up
as
or
bad
down
as
vote
dying.
on whether they ought to be there in the first place. And when I am president, anytime I am forced to deploy troops into war, anytime we seek an authorization, it will have a 3-year sunset. So that if there really does have to be a conversation about extending it, it has to be brought to Congress, brought to the American people, and those members of Congress have to take that tough up or down vote.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tim?
Moving to health care, an issue that voters tell us every day is still the #1 priority for them. Senator Sanders, you've spent plenty of time discussing and defending the merits of your Medicare for All plan, but the reality is that if Republicans retain control of the U.S. Senate, or even if Democrats win back a narrow Senate majority, your plan as constituted probably would not have the votes to pass Congress. So the question, Senator, is if Congress rejects your plan and the American people are looking to you for leadership on this issue, are there smaller, specific measures that you would take immediately to expand coverage and decrease costs as president?
So, Tim,
I like this
at
question.
a time when we're spending twice as much per capita on healthcare as any other nation, when 87 million people are uninsured or underinsured, when 30,000 people are dying each year because they don't get to a doctor when they should, and when 500,000 people are going bankrupt because of the dysfunctional and cruel system that we currently have, you know what? I think we will pass a Medicare for all single-payer system, and I will introduce that legislation in my first week in office. Now, to answer your question,
Be nice.
I think when we go out to the American people and tell them that right now we have
That
got
question is
to
kinda
take
sinister.
on the greed and corruption of the
It gives the
pharmaceutical
other side access
industry,
to a
for
soundbite of
example,
drastic action.
which in some
Yeah.
cases charges us 10 times more for the same exact drug as is charged in this country. When the American people understand that Medicare
We're
for
into a
all
Bernie greatest hit.
expands Medicare to cover home health
Get your
care,
drinks ready.
dental care, eyeglasses, and hearing aids, and does it at a cost
Dude, there's one of these things on my
Some of my
birthday.
opponents are talking
Do you notice
about,
how he is always
you know
very
what?
clear
We're
to
gonna have
add
the
hearing
American
aids and
people
eyeglasses
behind us.
specifically?
We will have Congress behind us.
Thank you, Senator Sanders.
That
Vice
talks-
President
that
Biden,
talk-
I'd
there's
like
a
to bring
large
you
group of
in. You
voters who are like,
spent
"Fucking, why are
an
my
awful lot
glasses
of
so
time 10 years
expensive?"
ago trying to pass a bill far less ambitious than what
And they're never
going
gonna switch to contacts or LASIK.
Is he being realistic?
I don't think it is realistic, but let me explain why. I introduced a plan to build on Obamacare. It remind everybody, 20 million
Everyone
people
should start
got
calling it
insurance, didn't
Romney
have it
Care at
before.
this point.
All people with pre-existing conditions are able to be covered. I could go on. We didn't get all that we wanted. But now that it's been exposed, that taking it away has such dire consequences, I've added to the Obamacare plan the Biden initiative, which is a public option, Medicare, if you want to have Medicare, for reducing significantly the price of drugs, deductibles, et cetera, by underwriting the plan to a tune of about $750 billion, and making sure that we're able to cover everyone who is in fact able to be covered. Hey, put your hand down for a second, Bernie, okay?
Just waving to you, Joe.
I know. So look, it covers everybody. It's realistic, and most
fucking
importantly, it lets
crazy.
you choose what you want. Here, you have
Put your hand
160 million
down.
people
Bernie's
negotiating
so
their
likable.
healthcare plans with their employer, like many of you have. You may or may not like it. If you don't like it, you can move into the public option
Oligarchy.
that I propose in my plan. But if you like it, you shouldn't have Washington
His whole
dictating
like
to
it.
you.
It's
You
fuck
cannot
you.
keep the plan you have.
No one likes their ISP, they like internet.
Senator
No one
Sanders,
likes their
45 seconds
insurance,
for
they like a
response.
doctor. No one likes their
Joe's
car
plan,
insurance, like their
essentially,
car.
We retain the status quo.
That's not true.
No,
It is
that's
exactly
not right.
true. Thank you. And by the way, Joe, under your plan, you asked me how we're going to pay for it. Under your plan, I'll tell you how we're paying for it right now. The average worker in America, their family makes $60,000 a year. That family is now paying $12,000 a year for health care, 20% of their income. Under Medicare for all, that family will be
Not
paying
zero, but-
$1,200 a year because we're eliminating the profiteering of the drug companies and the insurance companies. and
Like
ending
TBH, I
this
could probably afford
Byzantine
$1,000
and
a year
complex
for my own health care.
administration
That's
of thousands of separate
I could
healthcare
probably afford
plans.
that.
Senator Klobuchar, I'm going to come to you.
My name was mentioned.
Yes, I'm going to
Especially
come
since
to
it's
you.
in taxes I'm paying already.
45
I'm
seconds
the
for
only
Vice
guy
President
that's
Biden.
not interrupted here, all right? I'm going to interrupt now. It costs $30 trillion. Let's get that straight. $30 trillion
I'm gonna interrupt.
10 years. Some say it costs $20 trillion.
Some say it costs a quadrillion dollars.
Candidate to just go, how entitled of
a
you.
year on Medicare
Okay,
for all
Boomer.
is absolutely
Boomer.
16%.
It's time.
of the
It's time,
American
Klobuchar. Go
public
for it.
is on Medicare
Klobuchar or
now,
Yang,
and
maybe.
Everybody has a tax taken out of their paycheck now. Tell me, you're going to add 84% more, and there's not going to be
old
higher
people getting
taxes.
angry.
At least before, he was honest
84%
about it.
tax
It's gonna
increase? That's what you
increase
think,
personal
Joe?
taxes. They're going to be.
You think there's an
84%? But we're eliminating.
What are you talking about,
premiums,
Joe?
We're eliminating co-payments. We're eliminating deductibles. We're eliminating all out-of-pocket expenses. And no family in America will spend more than $200 a year on prescription drugs.
He's like, look, Joe, I know you're being a dick, but look at all this shit I'm going to give you for free.
Oh, job. Stop.
We'd like to hear from
That shouldn't exist in
We'd
the
like to hear
first
from
place.
Klobuchar. I don't want to. Shut the fuck up, Amy.
Okay, that's true. I'll say this. First of all, Bernie, I
Oh, here
promise
comes
when
Mom.
I am your
Everyone
president,
stop
I will
fighting.
get our pharmaceutical bills done.
I got people
And we
rules.
have worked together on this time and time again, and I agree with you on that. But where I disagree is I just don't think anyone has a monopoly on bold ideas. I think you can be progressive
Klobuchar
and
2020.
practical at the
Let's
same
stop
time.
fighting.
That is why I favor
Klobuchar
public
2020.
option, which is a
Let's calm
non-medical
down.
option to bring the
That's
cost
her
down. And yes,
campaign.
it does bring the cost down.
Klobuchar
immediately
2020. I got
for
people.
13 million people, and then we'll expand coverage to 12 million people. But here's the political problem.
Dave
This fight that you
Coulier,
guys are having
Secretary of
isn't
State.
real. Your fight, Bernie, is not with me or with Vice President Biden. It is with all those bunch of those new House members, not everyone by any means, that got elected in that last election in the Democratic Party. It is with the new governor, Democratic governor of Kentucky, that wants to build on Obamacare. And the way I look at it, if you want to if you want to cross a river over some troubled waters, you build a bridge. You don't blow one up. And I think that we should build
Oh,
on the
so apparently,
Affordable Care Act.
what Biden, that trillion number, is what apparently the entire healthcare industry is worth.
She hurt my feelings. I am crushed. Can I respond?
Never.
My fight,
45 seconds, Senator.
That via soundboard push button.
You hurt my feelings. Everyone's getting loopy now. It's good. Everyone's getting weird.
Must be with the greed
tired.
and corruption of the
Everyone's
pharmaceutical
cranky.
industry, with
I
the
am
greed
dying
and
for
corruption
Bernie
of
to
the
just go,
insurance
"What a putz."
industry. These guys last year made
Anything in
$100
Yiddish.
billion
What a putz.
in profit.
I want him to
and
call
tens
Biden
of
a
millions of
schmuck.
Americans
If he says
cannot
Meshuggah now,
afford to go
I'll
to
lose
a
my
doctor
mind.
Meshuggah the
tonight.
schmuck?
The day has got to come. And Joe is not talking about it. Amy is not talking about it. The day has got to come. And I will bring that day about when we finally say to the drug companies and the insurance companies,
What if
the
right then
function
Bernie
of
just said,
healthcare
Jesus is
to
our Lord and
provide it
Savior?
for all of our people in a cost-effective way, not
Damn
to
it.
make massive
Fuck
profits
you.
for the drug companies and the insurance companies.
Thank you, Senator Warren. We'd like to bring you into this discussion. The same question to you that I posed to
Yeah,
Senator
Warren
Sanders.
hasn't talked in a bit.
If Congress rejects the Medicare for All proposal and you're the president, are there smaller specific measures that you could pursue with bipartisan support to decrease costs and expand coverage?
So this is
I don't
about
know.
costs. It's about costs on middle class
Anything you do
families.
just gives more money to the
Last year,
shitty
36
insurance
million
companies.
Americans didn't have a prescription filled because they couldn't afford it. And those are people with health insurance as well.
There's a bill right
People
now
who
in the
can't
Senate.
do the co-pays, people who can't do the deductibles, people who find out that the drug is not covered. So here's how I approach this. I want to do the most good I can for the most people as quickly as possible. On day one, I'm going to attack the prices on commonly used drugs like EpiPens and insulin and bring down those prices. The president can do that, I love saying this, all by herself.
How?
And I will do it.
Come on. It's
That's
like
going to
good, but
save
shut up,
families
audience.
hundreds of millions of dollars. And then in the first 100 days, because I've found a way to pay for full health care coverage for everyone without raising taxes on middle-class families, I'm going to make available to people for a full health care coverage. For 135 million people, it'll be at no cost at all, and they can opt into that system.
Thank you,
For
Senator.
others,
Can't
it
it
will
be
be
opt
at
out?
a low cost. We have got to start moving and move fast.
We do
can
have to move on.
that.
Okay.
We can do that on 50 votes.
By opt-in, do you mean it costs money?
We are
or
coming to the
you
end
just-
of our time. There are a lot of hands up. We apologize for that. But in the spirit of the season, I'd like to ask each one of you,
Oh, cats.
is there someone else among these candidates that you would...
I think we've-
You have two
hold up.
options. One, a candidate from whom you would ask forgiveness for something maybe that was said tonight or another time, or a candidate to whom you would like to give a gift. And I'm going to start with you, Mr. Yang.
Okay. I'd like to give you $1,000.
Yang.
The audio's cutting out so heavily for me.
Me too.
We could do a labor action and just all go on strike on this one, Andrew.
Hell yeah.
I don't think I have much to ask forgiveness for. You all can correct me on this. In terms of a gift, Elizabeth
Humble brag.
has done me the honor of starting to read my book. I
Everyone
would
else has been
love to
moving.
give each of you a copy of my book. It's about
That's kind of cute, actually.
It's about how we're going through the greatest economic transformation in our country's history, the fourth industrial revolution. It is grinding up our communities.
Is he finally getting to talk
and
about
DC
automation?
Is out to lunch on this. Our media organizations are not covering it adequately.
Guys, the
I
debate
wrote a
is
book
ending
on it,
now.
And if you like data,
Moore did not convert
this book
time
is for
zones.
you. This goes for the people at home too.
So he's
if you
thinking like
data
midnight
and
Eastern
books.
time.
Mayor Buttigieg asked...
There's like 20 very loud
Mayor
Yang
Buttigieg
people, and
asked
I kind of like
Jazz
it.
hands.
It makes me happy.
First of all, I love data and books, so I think we should all be excited about this.
Yang, you look
and come to think of it, I
scary.
should probably send my book around more too.
He's taller than Pete. It's
I
weird.
also have a book that I didn't
I
write.
think all of us
want the same thing.
Bernie's
at the
written a
end
lot
the
of
day.
books.
We
He used to be
know what
this
a
like
gift
the
it
crazy
would
guy who
be
just wrote
to the future and to
compulsively.
the country
He just
for
had journals and journals and journals
anybody
of
out
writings.
to become president of the United States.
Living in a house
Well,
with a
isn't
dirt
that
floor.
what his political heroes of old did?
Yeah, he's just. Well, I mean, it was also like the 50s.
And we got to remember, there, I don't know
so
how
you
many
just gotta
now,
keep
Bernie
track.
journals.
It's like that's all you had.
Yeah.
Instead of
have run
shit
for
posting, it was
president
journal
of the Democratic
posting.
Party. The
Tuesday,
moment we
I had a
got
salami sandwich. It was
24 who
very
aren't
good.
that nominated
It reminded me of the
are going
deep
to have to
injustice
rally
in
around the
America.
one who does. Let's make sure there's not too much to ask for
Remind me of
forgiveness
Big
for by the time
Sandwich.
that day
I'm
comes.
tired of having our journals written by millionaires and billionaires.
I know.
Senator Warren.
I will ask for forgiveness. I know.
I know
that
it's the cover. It's made of
sometimes,
fine leather,
I get really
not made
worked
in
up.
America.
And sometimes I get a little hot.
I ate a ham sandwich and it was
I
wrong.
don't really mean to.
You call
What
this
happens
pastrami?
It's when
You
you
son
do
of a bitch.
100,000 selfies with people. You hear enough stories.
I really
about
hope
people
that
who are
squeak of
really
mine
down
didn't pick up.
to their last
It did.
moments. You know, I met someone just last week in Nevada who said that he has diabetes and that
Sad story
he
number
has
2.
access to a prescription because he's a veteran.
Hey,
But his sister
drink.
has diabetes and his
People
daughter has
die.
diabetes. And they simply can't
Our
afford
current
insulin.
system a lot.
So the three of them spend all of their time figuring out how to stretch one
So
insulin
it's not
prescription
okay already.
among 3 people. When I think about what we could do if we get a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate, and get back the White House, we could make this country work.
We can make
for
so many more
people
senators
like that
resign.
man. And that's why I'm in this fight.
Ah, Warren. See, when Warren
Sorry,
gets
I'm
sad,
talking
I
about
believe it.
Xander.
Like, I think she's
I
actually
think everyone
sad.
up here in this stage and those who are not on the stage who've run, we owe them because they're all pushing for the same exact thing. You're not the only one that does selfies, Senator. I've done thousands of them. And the crew that follows me can tell you, there's not one line I go through that I don't have at least a half a dozen people come up and hug me and say, can you help me? Just lost my daughter 10 days ago. Can you help me? Tell me I'm going to be okay. Can you help me?
Why are you going to
just
Joe
lost-
Biden?
and they go and lay out their problems. My wife and I have a call list of somewhere between 20 and
there's
100
a
people
speech he
that we
gave
call at least
at a military
every
thing
week,
about loss
every month to
that
tell
is
them
maybe the
I'm
most
here.
genuine
I give
thing
them
he's
my
ever
private
done.
phone number. They
Oh,
keep
okay.
in touch with me. A little kid who says,
He's not just a shitty person. He's
can't
just
talk.
very weird.
What do I do? I have scores of these young women and men. who
I
keep in
actually
contact with.
recommend
And the reason I
everyone
would give
watch
everyone here a
it
gift is
to
they wanna do
understand
something like I
why
do
Biden
and
is so
making
liked
their
by
lives
people.
better, because there's
Which
a
one?
lot of people.
Sorry, while you were talking,
he was
he
at a
did an imitation
military
of a
thing
kid
about
with a
loss
stutter.
For like, your kid died overseas.
Senator
Oh, okay.
Sanders,
And he
forgiveness.
talks about
I have seen this.
his wife and daughter dying.
It came back up again because when Trump did a thing.
But I think
So we were like,
the
this is how
gift
Biden would handle it. I'm like, that was actually
all of
really
us
sweet.
Need to give to the American
No,
people
he's not.
is a
I
very,
don't
very
think Biden
different
doesn't
vision.
necessarily mean well.
He is definitely the only
reality
politician in the
of the
White
Trump
in Washington who has a child in war
And the
right now,
vision that
or has
we
had
need
a
to
child in
bring
war. I think
forth
like the only person running for president
is
who
to
has.
create a government
No,
and
like
a
I believe him
nation
when he goes on those
based
things.
on love and
The healthcare,
compassion,
he's full of
not
shit.
greed
But
and hatred.
He's like what I wish every
We need
Republican
a
was.
vision which
Like,
says
he just
that
needs
in
to
our
run as a
country,
Republican.
all
He's like
of
McCain.
our people
He should run
will
against
be
Trump
able to
as a
earn
Republican.
decent standard
I too am a fan of
living,
UBI.
have health care, have the ability to send their kids to college regardless of their income. So we need a new vision which brings our people together around an agenda that works for all, not the Trump vision.
I thought he
of
said a
dividing
gender
us
that
up
works for
to
all
benefit
because of how
the
he
billionaire
talks.
class. That's my
Agenda
vision.
Senator Klobuchar.
works for all.
Well, I'd ask for anytime any of you get mad at me. I can be blunt, but I am doing this because I think it is so important to pick the right candidate here. I do. I think when you see what's
No one
going
up
on
there
around
doesn't
the
believe
country,
it aside from
yes,
their
it's
own
the
ego.
economic check that Elizabeth and Bernie have so well
Oh, I
pointed
forgot there was a
out on
question at
this
the beginning of
stage.
this.
But there's something else going on here.
Wait,
and
there
it
was?
is a
Yeah.
decency check. It is a
Decency
values
check.
check. It is a patriotism check. When you see people, and we've all had this happen, that come to our meetings and say, you know, yeah, I I voted for Donald Trump, but I don't want to do it again because I want my kids to be able to watch the president on TV and not.
What
mute
is happening
the
right
TV.
now?
I don't know.
We have to remember.
I don't want to
as
do it again.
Democrats, and if I get
Take
worked up about
the gun
this,
away
it's 'cause
from me.
I believe it so much in my heart that we
Help,
have
I
to
can't
bring
stop.
people with
Something
us
stupid
and
with
not
it.
I
shut
can't
them
stop
down.
Trying to go
voting.
back
That
to
is the
shitty
gift we can
capitalism.
give America in this
I
election.
can't stop voting for
Mr.
bad
Steyer.
people.
I must vote against self-interest.
This is the holiday season.
The ultimate
What I'm hearing
masochist.
from every single one of the candidates
Whip
is that
me with
they've gone around
policy.
the United States. What they've seen from this administration and what they've seen from the Republican Party
Whip me
is
with
cruelty
policy.
towards the people
That's
of the
got to be a
United
song
States
title
life.
for a political revolution
So
album.
when I think about the gift that I'd like to give, and I've seen that too. I mean, I think it starts with cruelty when children are born and it goes right through life into pre-K, education, healthcare, a living wage. There is cruelty to working people. There is cruelty to seniors.
It's
So the gift that I'd like to give
minor
everyone on
point
this stage,
deduction
which
for
was the
quickly
original
referring to
question,
a baby as
is the
it.
gift of teamwork. Because the question up here is, how are we together going to change this framework? How are we together going to beat this corrupt and criminal president? How are we going to stand up for the people of the United States together, not by tearing each other down, but by supporting each other and by realizing that what we stand for is the true value
Vote
of
Steer.
America.
He already looks like
And
a
as
TV
team,
president.
That's how we're going to do it. And as Americans, we're going to come together
think he'd
to stand
actually
up for
be-
the
like,
original
He
values.
could play the president
freedom,
like as an
equality,
actor.
justice, teamwork.
I'd believe it
That
if you just stuck him in a movie where it's like the president is like, hey, blah blah blah, like,
Like,
it was him.
he
And
has
okay.
the right
we
ideas,
are going to
but
take
does he
a
understand?
very short break.
Here's why
That
I
does
believe
conclude our
him
questions tonight
in that
here at
role.
Loyola Marymount
By his own
University.
admission,
We'll be
he
back
knows
in
how to
just
game
2
the
minutes
system.
to hear the candidates' closing statements.
Closing statements. Does anybody care? I don't.
It's all going to end with go to my website.
Okay, so guys, if you want to watch the closing statements, you're gonna have to turn on your own YouTube. It's YouTube. You just go to YouTube and type in like PBS News Hour, and you'll get it, or just debate. It'll work. But personally, I am not. I am not sitting through closing statements because I fucking. It's like a quick stump speech. They said it's the worst. I think it's the worst part of the debates are the opening and closing statements. There's never substance. No one ever blows anybody's mind with a closing statement.
Yeah.
You know, I wasn't going to vote for
Occasionally
them.
a good zinger.
I wasn't going to close for the. I wish in someone's closing statement they're just like, you know what, Joe Biden's a piece of shit. Bernie 2020.
I thought
like,
Cory
and then just
Booker was
ended
going to do it at one point.
Like, I was hoping they would just end with like, no, you can't have a rebuttal to a closing statement. You can't say anything.
Okay, I have to call out the Cory Booker thing. That was totally a nod from cliffhanger TV show culture. There, I've coined it. It's a thing.
Oh.
Ever
Nice.
since the last season of Breaking Bad, where every episode was blue
yeah.
balls.
That's
not the end. You'll see of Cory Booker. Wink. What the fuck is that?
That's the only thing I don't like about Star Trek Discovery is that it's like, I guess you'd call it like the Netflixization of television now, where everything has to be a cliffhanger ending because they want you to watch the whole season.
Oh no!
Like, I'm not watching The Mandalorian right now. I don't know if I will. I probably will because people say it's good, but
That's where I'm at.
Like, if every episode of that ends with a cliffhanger, would you be shocked? You just expect it now. Like, every episode of everything ends with a cliffhanger, and it's kind of like,
Well, and it's like how TV for the longest time was bottle episodes. Like, it made no sense. There was no continuity of impact of life-changing events.
yeah, I wish we could find a middle ground. Where it's not.
Yeah, they're called miniseries.
But yeah, but instead of being totally unrelated, can't we have like some relation while still having episodes end? That's why Deep Space Nine was so good.
I need to watch Deep Space Nine and actually give it a chance.
But if you watch a season of Discovery, it's like at the end of every episode, it's like, oh shit, we're all gonna die, and they eventually run out of interesting things. They're like, okay, how many times are they gonna almost die? They're like, oh, now this is happening. It feels like a video game. Like, now you gotta beat this boss. And you're like, wow.
Climate change. We're all gonna die. Yeah, they've been saying that for a while. Like, yeah, it takes about that long to kill us.
Yeah, it's getting faster actually.
It takes about that long.
Good job.
It's a slow activated.
I'm pretty proud of that line. Sorry.
Yo, it's a long burn. Yeah, they want you. Straight Tales, right? They want you to binge the whole thing. That's the whole idea. But like, I don't like that. I don't want to. It's an hour show. It's like, oh, I just watched a full hour of something. You know what? I need a full hour to sit and watch another episode. Like, I guess it's technically like 43 minutes or whatever without the ads.
Like, you gotta find out what happens next. Oh no.
Oh, fucking Lost in Space was like that too. It's like, it's exhausting. It's like, chill out.
Jeez.
Have like some episodes that just end. Like,
a bottle episode actually is okay as long as the consequences and character building that has it carries over. The internal plot of the episode can, in fact, be resolved.
yeah, I'd rather. Yeah, exactly. I would love for it
are
to
we
be
doing
like.
our closing statements now?
Yeah, I'm just ignoring them though. I've just turned it
Oh,
off.
that's fair.
I'm done. We're doing our closing statements now. That's what's happening.
And we got talking about Star Trek because gay space communism.
Gay space communism. That's what. Like, have you seen my background?
I am so happy for your background.
It's you can see
really
it,
nice.
See it blown out a little more. Oh, here, I'll just make it the whole.
Wait, did you do the rainbow filter or is that actually the background?
What? Oh no, yeah, it's just this color.
Send me that background. I'm gonna get a commission of my new Fursona ref. To this.
If you type in gay communism and search Google image, it is the #1 result.
Holy shit, that's amazing.
Wait, this is happening. Xander, do this with me. Wait, you said Google, not
Yeah.
DuckDuckGo.
What, to make it our backgrounds?
Here's the full image.
There it is. It's right fucking there.
It's like
Give me a second.
#1. It's it's with CCP, so it's like a USSR cosmonaut in space on a flight.
That's the one.
There's Star Trek shit flying by.
And why is the image called UBI Main?
UBI Main?
I don't know.
I love this. Yeah, I'm gonna get my new doing that pose.
Hold on.
Can that be like the image style? Everyone get a commission of your persona doing that, and that's like the Furry Socialist Committee.
Oh my god.
Furry Communist Collective, the FCC. There we go. I'm not actually communist though.
Well, I mean,
I just like gay space communism sounds so much better than gay space socialism.
I mean,
right?
Technically, communism is just the political system that arises from the implementation of socialist policy and ideas.
Basically, workplace socialism would be a good start, where we just basically cut the top off a lot of that shit.
That's what I really want.
Yeah, that would be a big step forward.
Democratization of the workplace
people in
should be
charge of companies because things tend to work better when you have a smaller group with the vision. But I don't think that should come with the wide range of power and money that it comes with. It's just the person whose job it is to have the vision.
Yeah.
It doesn't inherently make it more valuable.
We can all agree that, like, everyone should have basic needs covered, and then,
I'll
move
go as
forward
far as
from
to
there.
say you should
Well, we're
have
not even
everything
there yet.
covered that your society can provide on a within reason of certain time scale, unlimited basis.
And people don't know. That's the problem.
If you can actually give everyone a fucking high-end iPhone because your society can just produce that, then you should always be raising the bar so you can get to the fucking singularity. Damn it.
But people don't know that they're throwing away all this food because, for no reason that they could be feeding people, because of capitalism.
Hey guys.
Yo.
Hey peeps. Sorry, I keep using the gendered term. Let's do a group showing at some point of the original Matrix, but with the explicit intent of, by the way, this is capitalism. By the way, this is capitalism.
Right?
You weren't paying attention. This is capitalism.
That's pretty accurate.
I mean, the shitty part is that the reason that most, not necessarily all Trump people, because there are people who just are just straight up racist, but even them, like the complaints they have and the things they see that are bad with the country, like they aren't not problems, a lot of things, but it's instead of the answer being, oh, it's women and immigrants and people of color, it's just capitalism. Like that's the problem you're looking for. I see a weird, not that fascism and socialism are in any way like moral equivalents or equal opposites, but I do see that there comes a point in a lot of like, especially like white dudes' life, that you hit a fork where you seem to splinter into one or the other. Like, if you get awoken to, wow, the system's really fucked up, you're like, well, what do you mean by the system? Do you mean capitalism, or do you mean the fact that non-white people are allowed to like do things? Is the system the Jews, or is the system rich people?
Yeah, good luck on that one. Jesus Christ. Those rich people, they deserved it, and they worked hard for what they got every fucking time. Like,
But it makes no sense. It
I know.
fundamentally makes no sense.
How much 40% of wealth is inherited?
But
Like
what
that?
do you do with it?
Make more money.
The cosmic perspective needs to be taught.
Make more money.
That's
Once
what
we
they do. They
realized
put it
what
in
our
stupid...
corner of the universe was, holy fuck, how did that next enlightenment not happen?
That's why the fucking Klingons won't, or no. Klingons. God damn it. My space history, yeah, is no. The guys who like, oh, we did the drive, Farmer Hoggett solve space time shit. You know what I'm talking about? It's the Star Wars movie. Anyway. Closing statements.
Fuck capitalism. Klobuchar seemed to do well. Warren didn't get to talk enough, but when she did pretty well.
Yeah.
We had 2 counts of personal stories.
Personal stories.
Yang got to talk a bunch. The questions were shitty. Like, we were all looking forward to the fact that it was down to 7 people finally, and shitty questions undermined the majority of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm feeling pessimistic, but those are my thoughts.
No, yeah, I don't know if much is going to change. Yeah. Just not going to happen until we start voting, really. We're going to have the same...
It's coming soon.
How soon?
Primaries start when?
March or something?
Oh, it's like way earlier than you think. It's like fucking
January.
Isn't it like February?
No
is
way.
Iowa straw poll. Wikipedia.
That's where I'm at.
Date. Damn it. Oh. Technically primary, whatever. February 3rd. Fuck.
Yeah.
Woo. That's gonna be a mess. It's very soon.
Yeah, that's when shit's gonna start happening.
It's not even very soon. So, by the time I get to January 3rd, I'll be like, please.
Nah,
how can it be a whole month? It takes
You
so long.
say that, but we have first squared shit to make us worry our balls off.
Oh my god. Yeah.
What do you think I'm doing after I get off this? Yay, first squared. It's really cool. If you want to be in Brookfield, Wisconsin, the weekend of February 14, 15, 16, come check us out. firstsquared.com. # shameless self-promotion.
I mean, I'll be.
Yeah, it's good. It's good time.
Xander's going to be there. Pepper's going to be there. Fox is going to be there. Alkali. Citrine's going to be there. Seraphin.
Citrine's a fun time, too.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Fantastic, everyone. We made it through 2.5 fucking hours.
Good lord, yeah.
And we get to do it again in like 3 weeks or whatever, whenever the next one is.
Oh, is that really what it is?
It's like there's one a month so far, at least.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So, fuck, you think, will there be more?
Right.
I don't know. Do you think there'll be more before? Well,
see you at the next Scrabble.
How much is
wobble.
left? Bye, everyone. Good night.
Bye-bye.